If you've ever practiced saying a name and were reminded of Anchorman, Unique New York. Unique New York. Go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks, and welcome back to another episode of Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook. Today is going to be the Tuesday, March 24th edition. It's a T3 Tuesday. We've got Anne-Marie here today. Obviously, the week started off with a bang yesterday. So what is in store for us today? We are basically unchanged as we begin here. We've got some news to break down. We've got stocks to trade. We've got gold in a bear market. Plenty of stuff to cover here today. And again, T3 Tuesday, Anne-Marie coming as well. Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook, the Tuesday edition for March 24th, 2026 begins right now. Oh yeah, we also have a new opening video because our video team behind the scenes is amazing. Let me know what you think about that. Also, we got a poll up right now. Shout out to the discussions that are happening early here. I'll be honest with you, that energy is something that I want to capture and amplify. Marionette, thank you for the feedback. We'll try and keep doing all of that stuff. Be sure to vote in our poll. We'll talk about that here in just a sec. Francis is first here today. Good morning, Francis. Welcome back. I hope that you had a wonderful rest of your Monday, and I hope so far that your Tuesday is treating you well and putting some smiles on your face. Dave, good morning. Big Dave. Anyway, good morning. Welcome back. Crispy Biscuit, good morning. Welcome back. Sam, good morning. Can't wait to see what we are in for today. That is absolutely the right positive attitude there, Sam. I will take it. Good morning. Welcome back. Let's get ready. Billy, our resident chat scanner extraordinaire. Billy, good morning. It's great to see you. KPTI, actually one of the best movers here this morning. A little bit of a nasty dip into a high five handle, but a nice rip back into eights. So some pretty good opportunity early. I don't think it's over there on KPTI as well. Astro Kev, good morning. Great to see you again as well. Robert, good morning. Welcome back. The producer, good morning. Welcome back. Richard Judge, it's great to see you again. Welcome back, my man. Good morning. Hopefully you're doing well. Jane, it's good as always, Jane. Welcome back. Hopefully all is well in your neck of the woods. Xena gets a drone contract. Okay, adding Xena to the list here. We'll definitely cover that. I suspect we'll cover that in the movers, but if it's not on the list, we'll make sure we get through it there. Corey, good morning. It's great to see you again. Brian, good morning. Great to see you again. Zach, good morning. Great to see you again. I've been bottom feeding and nibbling all this time. Sometime this year, it will pay off, I hope. I think that you will be rewarded there. I saw folks are asking you what you're nibbling on. Zach goes on to say there are many beaten down stocks at the moment. I'm adding on small drone companies, gene editing medicals, and small tech caps, and a bit of space in SMRs. I chose the SMRs part from your comment here before we started for the poll because this was actually a discussion that we had yesterday in happy hour as well. Kind of wondering how long is the time frame here. Oklo was one that was brought up. I know SMR has been another one that we've traded here before. And I think that there's going to be more runs in those stocks, but I'm trying to figure out when. And I think that you're onto something here. So I want to get the group polled and figure out what kind of time frame are we looking at before these things actually make really good trades again. I think there's probably a large varying opinion on that, and I want to collect that. And good morning, by the way, Zach. Yes, that girl. Good morning. Welcome back. Azrar, good morning. Welcome back. Marionette, it's great to see you as always. Big Hurt, good morning. Big Hurt already hurting the market, making trades prior to we open here. Absolutely love that energy. Jesse Livermore, we are with greatness here. Perhaps one of the best market shorters of all time. Jesse, welcome. Hopefully you enjoy yourself. Matthew, good morning. Welcome back. Mohammed, good morning. Welcome back. Bernhard, good morning. Welcome back. Jay, great to see you, Jay. Hope all is well in your corner of the universe as well. Linda, good morning. Welcome back. Day Trader, good morning. Welcome back. Tyler, good morning. Welcome back. Brian, I'm assuming you voted in the poll, but also throwing his answer out here. I'm thinking 7 to 10 years for SMR. I think that there's probably some traders hoping that it's going to be a little bit sooner than that. The Noob, good morning. Welcome back. The Noob, I got good news for you. I already have my dinner plans for today, and those dinner plans are Chipotle. So it's going to be a good one here today. Kenzo, good morning. HK Matt, good morning. JJ, good morning. Whis, good morning. Edward, good morning. G Cord, good morning. Maverick, good morning. Producer, you didn't know I was going to go that fast, did you? Dirkus, good morning. Welcome back. Tara, good morning. Welcome back. And all right, folks, let's go ahead and get started with our stock market today. All right, futures are about unchanged before Tuesday's open here. They've been swinging back and forth minimally here in the pre-market, so they've oscillated between red and green, but we're basically at about unchanged here. S&P futures currently down 0.28%. The Dow futures down 0.28% as well, and the NASDAQ futures down 0.25%. Now let's take a look at some cues from last session here. We had consumer discretionary, materials, and information technology sectors leading to the market gains on Monday as all sectors closed on a positive note after we got the post in the morning. The rebound followed. The President Trump's Truth Social post on Monday said that the U.S. and Iran have had very good and productive talks on resolving hostilities, and the strikes would be paused for the next 5 days. However, senior Iranian officials rejected his claim. Iran's parliament speaker Mohammad Baghir Ghalbaf said in a social media post on Monday, no negotiations happened with the U.S. and that Trump's announcement was purely to manipulate markets. Meanwhile, the 10-year Treasury bond yielded 4.35%, and the 2-year bond was at 3.86%. The CME Group's Fed Watch tool projections show that the market is still pricing in an 85.5% probability or likelihood that the Federal Reserve leaves interest rates unchanged at the April meeting. Now, several stocks in focus for you here today, and this first one here is somewhat of a victory lap for our group. Because we've been watching this one for a long time. We got a lot of folks that have been trading this. It is, in fact, Applied Optoelectronics. And the ticker on this one is AAOI. It rose 4.16% in the pre-market on Tuesday after it announced that one of its major hyperscale customers placed an initial volume order for 800G single-mode data center transceivers totaling more than $53 million. So a nice $53 million order there. AAOI, that continues its run higher. The next stock on our list is going to be Oracle, ticker ORCL. It advanced by 0.62% after updating its AI Agent Studio for Fusion applications with new features, including agentic application builder, workflow orchestration, and ROI dashboards. This will help organizations move beyond simple co-pilot towards autonomous, outcome-driven AI that can be measured for business value. The next stock, or stocks in this case, as it may be, is Tower Semiconductor and Coherent, and they're related here. Tower Semiconductor is TSEM. That was up 1.9% in the pre-market. And Coherent is ticker COHR. That gained 3.12% after TSEM announced a new silicon photonics milestone with COHR that could strengthen its position in next-generation AI and data center networking markets. Another AI headline there, moving a handful of stocks. The next stock on our list is going to be Apollo Global Management, and the ticker on this one is APO. It tumbled 2.57% after Apollo Debt Solutions decided to restrict investor withdrawals from its $25 billion debt fund. It also announced a strategic investment in NSG Group, a leader in glass manufacturing. Thought here is that maybe some of these investments aren't as liquid as people once thought. And when you're trying to get that money out in a time of need, perhaps it's not as easy as you thought initially. Last stock on our list is going to be GameStop, ticker GME. Yep, that GameStop, the GameStop. It was 0.043% lower as analysts expect it to post quarterly earnings at 37 cents per share on revenue of $1.47 billion. That's after the closing bell today. So we'll see if the original OG meme stock can put out an earnings report causing some significant movement. GameStop after the bell today. All right, let's take a look at the SPY chart. Very, very simple here today. First of all, I want to draw your attention to the last 2 days. We've actually had some pretty good volume by comparison. It is red volume, and we've come into what looks like a support level here. We are beneath the 200 for these last 2 sessions, and so I suspect that that's one of the reasons why more volume was drawn into this. Now, today, however, we have a very clear picture in my mind of where the key levels are going to be. So we talked about the supporting trend line that we derived from the 4-hour chart. It's basically an ascending, a descending broadening wedge. And right now we're kind of flirting with the support area. We're kind of flirting with that downward trend line. What's notable here is that yesterday we actually tried to retake the 200 on the post that we got in the morning that drove the market up, and we simply were not strong enough to do that. And given the volume here, I think that that's notable once again. So this means that in the last 3 sessions, we've had 2 attempts to break and move above the 200-day, and both attempts have been rejected. This has me thinking that we're probably going to end up rolling over and testing some more of those lows. It is worth noting that we're basically at a support level here today. This is the one back from November of last year. It's also worth noting the SPY's basically been sideways since last year, just saying, October of last year. Anyway, we're basically at a support level right here, pretty much right where we're at, 650-ish. I know we're 653 here in the pre-market, but this 650-ish area may provide some support. And then as a reminder, the 628 level, that's about 10% pullback from the all-time highs. So the inability to get back above the 200-day makes me unsurprised if we test some of these support levels lower. Now, will they hold? I don't know the answer to that. A lot's going to go on, but we should be ready for that. If we take a look inside here, you can kind of really get an appreciation of what we're looking at. So if I include just yesterday morning where we had the impulse move from the SPY, we basically traded up to the previous low of the support zone. So this was at one point a all-time high breakout level at 667.34. Once we moved above it, we actually used this area here as a support area. That area, again, is between 667.34 and 673. Yesterday, on the impulse move, we were unable to recapture it. We never even gave it the college effort to try and recapture it in the regular session. And instead, we pretty much just kind of drifted the rest of the day. Now, today, where we pick up that story, we're basically right at this trend line that we have been talking about. So the key levels that I have here, I'll get you an exact value here. Looks like 654.25 is going to be your downside support. And it looks like 677.34 is going to be your upside resistance area. Now, I don't even know if we're going to cover the entire range here today. We'll see how it shakes out. But these are some of the things. This is kind of what I'm looking at here for the SPY. We're still within this, I guess you could call this like this mother candle. We're still inside that candle. So to me, any movement inside this candle is less notable than if we break out from this candle or if we break these lows down here at 643. So we'll see which one happens here. We'll see which direction we go here. Again, we're basically, we're a little in the red here. We've kind of been oscillating this morning, but we're still in the red a little bit here. So we'll see how this ends up shaking out here today. And then really quickly, I just wanted to cover this because we've also been doing this a little bit more in happy hour. So it's worth noting here. The Qs, little bit different, right? We've broken the 200-day. This to me sure looks like this wants to roll over here. There's been a lot of other technology stocks that have kind of been sideways. NVIDIA really kind of comes to mind. To be quite honest with you, it looks like the SPY has another support area to catch this. Well, where it looks like the Qs probably just want to make this move down towards 570, I would imagine. Now, how quickly does that happen? We'll see. But it sure looks like that's one of the areas that we want to roll over and test. Now, let's take a look at some insights from analysts here. LPL Financial maintaining a tactical neutral stance on equities, navigating a complex landscape defined by accelerating AI-related disruption and heightened geopolitical tension. Despite the ongoing conflict in Iran and sharp increase in oil prices, the Strategic Tactical Asset Allocation Committee, or STAC, remains encouraged by the stock market's resilient track record during geopolitical crises. Rather than retreating, LPL is looking for opportunities to add equities at lower levels during short-term disruptions. You know what this sounds like? This sounds a lot like Zach's strategy that he was outlining here today. Not to put you on the spot here, Zach, but it sounds like you've kind of taken an approach here where you're looking to add equities or nibble, as you said, at some of these lower levels during these disruptions, basically trying to use some of these disruptions as dips to your advantage. So sounds to me, at least based on what LPL is doing here, you're on the right track, buddy. Regarding the broader economy, LPL highlights a natural credit cycle where rising interest rates are beginning to discipline the market for selectivity and reset valuations. Now, remember, as far as a move down here, I'm definitely consider myself a bull, but I still want to move down because those reset valuations should actually provide for some quality upside moves. So despite being bullish generally or trying to make most of my money on the bull side, still wouldn't be upset with a move back down and a reset of some of these valuations. While private credit faces liquidity mismatches and optimistic underwriting assumptions, LPL does not forecast a systemic collapse. They note that, quote, overall corporate debt to GDP levels have actually come down in recent years, end quote. This suggests the current stresses represent a healthy repricing rather than a broad unwind. And indeed, the moves down that we've seen, I mean, obviously the Liberation Day fiasco from last year was a different story. But for the most part, when we see these moves down, they definitely feel orderly. They don't necessarily feel like that broad unwind. Ultimately, LPL views these shifts as a necessary adjustment, famously noting that, quote, when the tide goes out, you see who has been swimming naked, end quote. There's your famous Warren Buffett quote. All right, now we do have some data here today. The revised fourth quarter U.S. productivity figures will be out by 8:30, and March's S&P Flash U.S. Services and Manufacturing PMI will be released by 9:45. This should be the first data point that includes the conflict in the Middle East. So we are probably expecting a high number on that. How does the market react to that will be the $64,000 question. Also, Federal Reserve Governor Michael Barr is scheduled to speak tonight at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. Okay, I name dropped NVIDIA a couple of times here. We also took a look at the Qs. Let's take a look at NVIDIA's chart. And let me see what we got going here. So as I was saying, basically sideways. This has actually been sideways since July. The broader market more sideways since October. But NVIDIA sideways since July. But we've got some big news here. Jensen Huang drops a huge bombshell. Quote, I think we've achieved AGI. NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang said he believes artificial general intelligence, or AGI, has already been achieved. And this came on an episode of the Lex Friedman podcast that was released yesterday. Full disclosure, I have this one added to my list. I'm in the middle of the Brigham Bueller podcast. I think someone yesterday mentioned that, how good that was. I can't remember if it was here or if it was in Happy Hour. I apologize for not being able to place it, but I have not listened to this one yet. I will here. Obviously, the headlines here make it all that more interesting. Friedman proposed defining AGI as an AI capable of building and running a billion-dollar tech company, asking whether that milestone could arrive within 5 to 20 years. I mean, I think even the most aggressive predictions, or I should say some of the more conservative predictions, have it coming a little bit sooner than that, certainly the 20 years. Huang was direct in his answer, saying, quote, I think it's now. I think we've achieved AGI, end quote. Huang's threshold doesn't require permanence. In his view, an AI that builds a viral app, earns $1 billion, and subsequently shuts down still qualifies, drawing a comparison to dot-com era companies that were short-lived but undeniably real. Quote, I couldn't have predicted any of those companies at that time either, end quote. He said when asked what breakthrough might look like. Huang's recent assertions contrast with his earlier prediction at the 2023 New York Times Deal Book Summit, where he projected that AGI could develop within the next 5 years. Back then, his definition of AGI was a computer or software capable of executing tasks requiring human-level intelligence. Now, there's been, I think, I wish I had it in front of me. I should have pulled it here this morning. But there's been some recent studies that say, like, these AI bots that we have now, they're actually like no smarter than a cat or an infant, despite them returning really valuable information. Still kind of relies on the prompt. Still very much has that garbage in, garbage out feel to it. We'll see if we take the next step here. The top boss of the chip designers said AGI could eventually design chips like those made by NVIDIA, noting that even today's H100 chips rely heavily on AI. However, he added that AI has not yet surpassed complex human intelligence. Ex-Tesla AI chief Andrej Karpathy, however, believes AGI is still a decade away, stating that the industry is making too big a jump and is trying to pretend like this is amazing, and it's not. Quote, the models are amazing. They still need a lot of work, end quote. And this is kind of what we've talked about with AI. You know, like the chatbots are great. I'm sure all of you use them for a number of different ways. I know I do. By the way, I have a breakdown on Ondas today, which I did not have for you yesterday. So some of these tools are great. He's saying that the models here are amazing, but how amazing are they actually in practice? That's another story. His view sharply differs from OpenAI CEO Sam Altman, who told a German newspaper that he would be surprised if highly advanced AI models surpassing human capabilities don't emerge by 2030. Okay, so 6 years for Sam there. However, Elon Musk has claimed that Tesla will probably be the first to make AGI in humanoid atom-shaping form, putting Tesla in the same competitive arena as dedicated AI labs like OpenAI and Google DeepMind. So let me know. I guess, producer, maybe we can run this as a second poll, maybe later today or perhaps a different day. What kind of time frame is the group looking at for AGI? And I guess if we can somehow throw it in there, are you excited about that? Well, what are we going to need for AI here? Well, we're going to need chips. And Broadcom warns that Taiwan Semiconductor's capacity is maxed out. On Tuesday, Broadcom signaled a growing strain in the AI supply chain, warning that limited capacity at Taiwan Semiconductor is emerging as a critical bottleneck. The company said surging AI demand is stretching production, with Taiwan Semiconductor, quote, hitting limits and constraining supply through 2026, despite planned capacity expansion. And again, that was reported by Reuters on Tuesday. We are seeing that Taiwan Semiconductor is hitting production capacity limits. That comes from Natarajan Ramachandran, Director of Product Marketing at Broadcom's Physical Layer Products Division. And he said that to Reuters. He added that he would have described Taiwan Semiconductor's capacity as infinite until a few years ago. Quote, they will be increasing the capacity to 2027, but that has become a bottleneck, or that has kind of choked the supply chain in 2026. Shortages are also spreading beyond chips to lasers and printed circuit boards, with lead times for some components extending to 6 months. Customers are increasingly locking in long-term supply deals, which is a trend that has been echoed by Samsung. Again, that's SSNLF and trades on the OTC market, as companies seek greater supply security. Now, TSM is 3.8% below its 20-day moving average, but 5.5% above its 100-day moving average. It's got an RSI of about 45 and a negative MACD, and the combination of the RSI in that mid-range, 30 to 50, and bearish MACD suggests mixed momentum for Taiwan Semiconductor. We're also looking at a key resistance of 380 and a key support at 332. And as far as some of the EPS estimates, yeah, they're crazy. 3.27, that was up from 2.12 a year ago. The revenue estimate is 35.4 billion. That's up from 25.5 billion year over year. And the valuation of 32.5 indicates that a premium valuation relative to its peers. DA Davidson has a buy with a 450 target. Barclays has an overweight with a 450 target. And TD Cowen is at a hold with a 370 target. It also has several ETF exposure weighting. That would be PXH, which is the Invesco Rafi Emerging Markets, the IVES, which is the Dan Ives Wedbush ETF, and OSEA, which is the Harbor International Compounders. So because TSM carries such a significant weight in these funds, any significant inflows or outflows are likely to change these. Keep that in mind with TSM. Where are we at on time? One more story here before we get to our guest. This is on the new MacBook, which you have probably seen commercials for on television. MacBook Neo will shake up Google's Chromebooks and Windows PCs. Analyst says it opens the door for Apple in this segment. Now, I'm going to need to rely on you folks for this because I'll be honest, I don't have a need for any of these types of machines in my life. Google Chromebooks have caused more heartache than help over the course of my life, it turns out. So I wonder if the Apple notebook is going to be any different. Earlier this month, Apple launched a MacBook and shook up the budget laptop market. The launch naturally raised questions about the product's impact in the market share of Alphabet's Google Chromebooks and PCs that run on Microsoft's Windows operating system. MacBook Neo is a 13-inch laptop priced at a very affordable $599. It's available for $499 for students, making it especially appealing to students who want to become part of the Apple ecosystem, but couldn't because of higher prices. The product is built on Apple's A18 Pro chip. It's the same processor that's currently powering the iPhone 16 Pro lineup. The device also runs on Mac OS Tahoe and comes with Apple Intelligence features. Oliver Blanchard, research director at the Future Room Group, told Benzinga in an emailed statement, quote, Apple's new MacBook Neo laptop is designed to make the Mac experience more accessible to Windows PC users who are envious of the MacBook ecosystem, end quote. He said that the most critical aspect of MacBook Neo isn't its specifications, but its aggressive pricing, which is likely to create ripples across the market. The Futurum analyst also highlighted the timing, saying that given the current rise in supply chain and memory costs, Apple's pricing feels more like a gut punch to one of the PC market's most valuable pricing tiers. I guess the question that we're getting here is the MacBook Neo basically a big iPhone with a keyboard, or is it its own thing? Y'all folks will have to let me know, especially if you've played around with this. I have my own thoughts. So does the producer. But I want to hear from you. He concluded by saying that with MacBook Neo's entry, Microsoft may feel some pressure, but Google and its premium Chromebooks actually face the bigger risk. In a statement at Benzinga, Ming-Chi Kuo said that Apple's MacBook Neo could put pressure on competitors in the low-end notebook segment, saying, quote, near term, this likely means market share and profit pressure. Longer term, it opens the door for Apple to build brand and ecosystems advantages in every market, end quote. And this is, I think, the big thing here, because from everyone that I talk to of varying ages, it almost doesn't matter. When people get a taste, especially, and I'm not trying to be disparaging, but especially when people that don't consider themselves technically or computer inclined, when they get their first taste of the Apple ecosystem, they often like it, and it's hard to break. And if what we're saying here is this is basically an iPhone that has a keyboard that's going to get you into the Apple ecosystem, what I want to know is, what does that mean for Apple down the road? How big is this cohort? Is this cohort also going to be buying Apple Watches? Are they going to switch from Android phones to Apple phones? What about Apple AirPods or AirPod 2? I feel like a lot of this is kind of a runway into the rest of the Apple ecosystem to buy some of the high margin products that Apple relies on. And I will also say that if this uptake is noticeable, I think that long term, this is also going to help Apple just continue to put up eye-popping numbers. That would be my own thought on this. Francisco Geronimo, such an awesome name. Francisco Geronimo, vice president of client devices at IDC, told Benzinga, quote, the MacBook Neo will have a significant impact on the low-end PC segment, particularly in education, which accounts for 6.7% of global PC shipments or 13.4 million units in 2025. Hook them while they're young. Get those students into the Apple ecosystem early, and before you know it, the Christmas present is going to go from a brand new shiny Galaxy to a brand new shiny iPhone. He said that the market is currently dominated by Windows notebooks, with an average selling price of $682, and Chromebooks, which average $362. Quote, Apple's ASP in education was $1,425 in 2025 and accounted for only 5% of the segment. He echoed the statements by the above analysts while noting that the MacBook Neo will allow Apple to acquire users early in their digital lives. Indeed, it will. Indeed, it will. Canalys also highlighted Apple's pricing, saying that the company has a distinct advantage over Windows makers, as the latter will find it difficult to match the price while also facing rising component costs. Quote, Omida's February 2026 forecast shows Windows OEM facing component cost increases of $90 to $165 per unit, pushing average notebook selling prices from approximately $850 towards $915. It went on to say that to maintain margins after these cost increases, many Windows laptops would need to be priced above $1,000 to stay profitable. On the other hand, Apple benefits from higher margins, making it easier for the iPhone maker to sell product at low cost while still maintaining profitability. In the education segment, the $499 price for students removes the cost barrier. However, the firm noted that the price isn't the only hurdle. Quote, displacing Chrome in K-12 would require Apple to match Google's admin tooling and institutional relationships, not just its price point. David Naranjo, associate director at Counterpoint, told Benzinga that Apple's real opportunity lies in higher education. It's because the launch comes with Google. When Google continues to dominate the K-12 sector through Chromebooks, Google Workspace, and school-managed devices. Quote, the MacBook Neo is unlikely to displace Chromebooks at scale in the K-12 market in the near term. Schools remain highly price-sensitive and deeply integrated into the Google ecosystem. And so this is almost a war of ecosystems more so than a war of hardware here. Apple, an obvious monster here. We look at this all the time. One of the safer stocks. Someone, please, if Tenzin shows up a little bit later here, we got to get his opinion on this. Got to get his opinion on Apple and where it might go. And if we're lucky, maybe we can get an opinion from our next guest. It is Tuesday, which means it's a T3 Tuesday. Let's go ahead and bring on our guest today. Uh-oh. We got a mountain range. We got no Scott. We got a mountain range.
We're trying, Ryan. I am trying my best right now.
Okay. Good to hear you this morning, Scott.
There we go.
He's back. I'll tell you what. Are you on vacation? Because that's a hell of a mountain range behind you. It doesn't look like any Chicago scenery I know of.
I am on vacation, and unfortunately, the snow is getting less and less where I'm at, and we want more.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you say unfortunately the snow and that you wanted more snow? Because that's not a popular opinion either.
That is exactly what I said.
All right.
Yes.
I absolutely love it. Folks, first of all, join Scott Bauer this Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, for a live step-by-step training on the advanced option system that he uses to turn volatility into high probability trade setup. So first of all, Scott, thanks for joining us on your vacation. I will try to make it brief so you can go out there and hit the slope. As far as the training here, I think you're really kind of hitting the nail on the head. We are seeing volatility everywhere we look. And so what I wanted to pick your brain on here is maybe some of your favorite setups that you're using in order to capture some of this. I would just want to start here. I mean, we can go any way that you want, but one of the first things that I wanted to ask about is gold and silver. I'm going to get to this in a little bit, but it sure seems like gold and silver are now in a bear market. And we watched this have a meteoric rise. Now it seems like it's a quick bear market. To me, this absolutely spells out volatility. Do you have any way that you're trading this or capturing this?
For 9 months, a year or so, it has been the buy the dip trade. It has been the ultimate buy the dip trade. And I think that is now broken. I really do. I did get caught in a long position, no question about it, full disclosure. However, like every strategy we trade, it is completely risk defined. So it's not like I have this naked long position that I'm just going to keep losing. So in GLD specifically, I'm going to say over the last year, we probably had upwards of 20 to 22 trades, which 18 or 19 were just absolute massive winners. Couple small losers. This one most recently, where we tried to buy the dip here, again, completely risk defined, went against us. And like you just said, I think the narrative is finally broken. We'll have to see what happens, in the next month or so. Hopefully, if things do calm down, which we all hope for in the entire world. And I'm not talking about market volatility. I'm talking about what's happening in Iran, obviously. We'll see what happens with interest rates, because the rise in interest rates, the sell-off in the bond market is behind all of the volatility we're seeing, especially in these precious metals.
Now, are you looking at the bond market to determine, or are you kind of just waiting and saying, you know what, I'll let this confirm a bounce first before I even mess with it?
I'm looking at both, and I think you really need to. Ordinarily, I just, be looking at technicals, maybe some fundamentals, but the bond market is driving the equity market and is driving commodities, in my opinion, right now. The bond market has told us for a while, even when we were, 30, 40 bips ago, when the 10-year was trading right around 4% and then started rising, that was really kind of the tip off here. And so, yes, I absolutely am watching what the 10-year is doing, what the 30-year is doing to especially help decision making in GLD, in SLV, maybe some of the other commodities.
Okay, so I'm assuming I'm looking at this chart here. This is basically coming back into a previous high resistance area from October. To me, to my eye here, we got another 26 points to the 200-day moving average. With us being in a bear market, the real quick move down, to me, it makes a little bit more sense to wait here and see if that gets tested. Are you in the same camp?
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
Listen, if you miss a rally here, okay, then I missed this one, right? But yes, now we're in that phase where it's not any longer just to buy the dip. You do have to confirm it with technicals, no question about it.
Okay, perfect. Now, I know we spent a lot of time talking about gold there. You also mentioned silver, which I was going to ask you about, but I think all of your thoughts that you gave on gold are applicable to silver as well. Was there anything else that stands out about this chart that maybe I missed? I mean, to my eye here, while we are right at a fib level, I think this wants to go lower too.
Yeah, I agree. And again, I don't want to have, and I teach people to do this, you can't have that FOMO, right? So
sure.
if you've had a thesis for a while, if you believed in buy the dip or whatever it is for a while, and then it breaks, and all patterns break at some point, right? Whether it's days, weeks, years, all patterns break at some point, then you have to respect that and go back to the basics. And like you just said, Ryan, I think we have to wait for some confirmation now.
Okay. And that, that's not to say that we won't get another opportunity to trade gold and silver, and it might make sense on the macro level, but for right now, maybe it makes sense to realign our risk or put it somewhere else, define our risk, to use your term, somewhere else. Okay, good stuff there on gold and silver. One more, just kind of a quick aside here. Are there any other commodities or metals that you're interested, like copper, that might tie into the AI trade at all?
There are some copper stocks, and I know there's some ETFs out there that are not quite as liquid. So these are the two that I have really, really looked at. Now you can look at an FCX like you have up there right now, and you're at some pretty massive support. You're going to see a very, very similar chart here. And listen, if that's the flavor you like as opposed to GLD or SLV, FCX, I think, is at that, kind of capitulation point right now where it's either going to bounce or we're going to see a significant move lower as well.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. And furthermore, I really like some of these volume nodes. I don't know how you feel about them, but we are currently
huge.
Yeah, okay. So we are currently in a low volume node. And to me, I don't think we're going to stay in this area very much longer. Just to assign some numbers to that, I got about maybe 57.25, 57.5, down to about 47.5. I think we're going to pick a direction here at some point, although we seem to be somewhere in no man's land at the moment. Okay. Really good stuff there as well. This is where I kind of want to let you spread your wings, if you will. First of all, join Scott Bauer this Tuesday on 8 p.m. Eastern for a live step-by-step training on the advanced options system that he uses to turn this very volatility into high probability trade setups. Look, I started off the show here by saying, Spy, I know we're starting to roll over here a little bit. We would love to get your thoughts on that and how you're playing that. But for the most part, we've pretty much been sideways in the broader market here since October. If you look at some individual names like NVIDIA, really, it's kind of been sideways since July. So I'm wondering here, if the broader market has really been sideways since last year, how are you trading it? How are you looking for volatility to turn into high probability trade setups? And furthermore, is there anything specific that you'd like me to take a look at?
So it's funny that you said spread your wings, because my go-to strategy in this environment, and it has been just an absolute incredible strategy over the last several weeks, is called an iron condor. And now so many option traders, especially if you're starting off, you're a beginner, you think of some of these names, iron condor, butterfly, strangle, and you're like, oh my God, I can't trade that type of thing. I don't understand what that is. And what people have to realize, especially, some newbies, beginners to trading, is all of these names, when you break them down, they're just typically very simple spreads. So an iron condor is just a combination of a call spread and a put spread. Now, I always use those from the short side, selling a call spread, selling a put spread, harvesting premium. And this is, in this environment with volatility where it's been, harvesting premium, taking premium in, but always having completely defined risk. It has been a massive, I don't want to say savior, but that has been the trade over the last 2-3 weeks or so. And, as traders, we have to be as fluid as the market is, right? The market doesn't trade the same all the time. So we have to adjust our way of thinking and the strategies that we use. In this environment, iron condor, I think I put on more iron condors in the last 3-4 weeks than maybe I did in the last 6 months, just because high volatility, you can structure an iron condor where you're selling both a call and a put spread, either to be completely neutral, or you can structure it with a bias, with a long delta or a short delta bias, depending on where you might be leaning, where a stock might be. A couple of them that we have on now. Yesterday, I full disclosure here, yesterday we put one on in VRT. We put it on when the stock was trading right up at that resistance, almost at its high point yesterday, right around 270. And so what we did yesterday at that point, when there was major resistance up there, and especially if you make the time, you can see that consolidation up there and those highs that have hit right around 270, 271. Oh, yeah. What we did is we sold a call spread up there expiring this week. We sold the 275, 280. We also sold at the same time the 255, 250 put spread expiring this week. Now, hindsight is, the best account you could have, Monday morning quarterback.
Sure.
I wish I would have just bought a put spread instead, because the stock collapsed off of that resistance there, and you see it now down around 257. But we sold that iron condor, a $5 wide iron condor, for nearly $3. So capturing 60% of the width of, those strikes there, meaning we collected $3. Even if VRT made a blowout move by the end of the week, higher or lower, the most risk we had was $2. And we all know, Ryan, that as we get on towards the week, it's Tuesday today, we get to Wednesday, Thursday, that premium is just going to start eroding. So This is when I said earlier, harvesting premium, this is a completely risk defined way to harvest premium. We have another great one on that we took half the position off yesterday in WDC. So we had put one on last week in WDC on its big run up that we saw. Like, I think the stock was around 307, 308 when we put this on, and we sold this week's 315, 320 call spread and the 265, 260 put spread on the downside. Again, we collected almost $3 on that. We did close half the position yesterday. We paid $1.50. Now people are going to say, well, why would you pay any money to get out of that, especially when the stock is trading, right in the middle, right? The probabilities that it's going to get to the high end or get to the low end, they're in your favor that they're not going to. Well, the answer to that is because we're traders and we're not investors, and we manage our risk. That's so, right. We took massive risk off the table by getting out of half of that position for a massive winner. Now we'll let kind of theta do its thing now that we're getting closer to expiration. So we have done a number of trades like this over the last several weeks. And I will tell you that, again, in this environment, doing this, harvesting premium, but always being risk defined, it lets you sleep at night. It lets you take money into the bank up front, knowing that, okay, in a worst case scenario, I 100% know what my risk is.
I absolutely love this. We actually have a options professional that we have joining us on Tuesdays and Fridays after our show here. She'll be joining us again here today. She loves iron condors, and she's always saying she's looking for condors that are about 20% of the range. Here you have one that was 60%.
Yep.
A couple of really big winners, and you're putting them on stocks like Western Digital, which have been huge movers here recently. So, folks, join Scott Bauer this Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, for a live step-by-step training on the advanced option system that he uses to turn volatility into high probability trade setups. I might add there, while being completely risk-defined, just because that seems to be part of it as well. Scott, is there anything else that you find appealing that you want to cover or you want to mention before we let you go here?
I think on a more macro level, Ryan, something that we saw happen on Friday makes it so imperative, so incumbent upon anybody that is going to trade options to understand what expiration is and how options work at expiration. Because there was something really, really unique that happened Friday that we don't see all the time, where if you don't understand the expiration process and the time that you have after the market closes to do something, there were literally hundreds of millions of dollars that were exchanged after the market closed on Friday because of what SPY did 15 minutes after the market closed. And on an expiration day like that, many people don't know this, that you actually have until 4:30 Central Time to make a decision whether you want to exercise options that happen to close out of the money, or on the other side, if you don't want to exercise options that closed in the money. And so people that knew that were able to take advantage of that situation and make a lot of money. And I know people that kind of left some of those 650 calls, 649 calls in SPY that theoretically expired out of the money. They left them short and they got hit pretty badly. So it is really, really incumbent everybody to just understand the process. And that's one of the things we do at Prosper is not only are we breaking down strategies and trading in the market, we are teaching you some of the nuances that maybe only floor traders know, but things that are really imperative if you're going to be successful in this market that you need to know.
That's perfect. That reminds me of, the old sports adage, this manager helps us win on the margins, right? Some of the little things that kind of go into the game that actually do impact the overall outcome at the end of the game. So I'm just going to do it one more time. Folks, if any of this is interesting to you, the option strategy, how to structure these trades and what to trade, please join Scott Bauer this Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern for a live step-by-step training on the advanced option system that he uses to turn volatility into high probability trade setups. All right, Scott, I'll get you out of here with this here today. What do you think about the Cubs this year?
I wish Seiya wasn't starting the season on the IL, but I think it was really good news with PCA and hopefully signing him longer term. And I hate to say that I'm really, really optimistic, but I am really, really optimistic.
Yeah, us Cub fans know when you're optimistic, sometimes that is the road to pain, but I'm with you on that 100%. So, all right, Scott, I really appreciate you waking up with us. Enjoy the rest of your vacation. We'll follow up with you shortly, all right?
Thanks, Ryan.
All right, take care. That is Scott Bauer from T3. I say it every week. I'm going to keep saying it until I'm blue in the face here. The T3 folks are absolutely phenomenal. Varying types of traders there with all types of different knowledge sets, and we are lucky to bring them here. And I hope that you folks enjoy all of that. Okay, let's see. Where are we at? Oh, boy, we've got 10 minutes till pre-market pulse. Well, we got a couple of tweets to go over, and then it sounds like we're going to have some extended ticker time here today. Get those charts ready for what you want to see. Let's go ahead and take a look at some street tweets for today. All right, easy for me to say. The Human Torch was denied a bank loan. Okay. As we've already talked about, gold is officially in a bear market. Now, this is per CNBC. The spot gold has now lost over 22% since hitting its high of $5,594.82 per ounce at the end of January. I know that there are still a lot of price targets out there that are up or near or at 6,000, maybe even a little higher than that. We just heard from our guest here about how the buy the dip trade kind of not working, might be better off trying to wait for these moves to confirm. So I asked the group here, with gold in a bear market, where's the buy spot? And if you say that the buy spot is just everywhere right now, then I would imagine you'd probably also need to tie a time horizon to that as well. So gold entering a bear market, where's the buy? What is the time horizon? Let us know what you think on that. Producer, next tweet. Next one here comes from Gary Black, and this also ties to Apple. I've long argued that Apple became the most valuable company in the world because it made the best products and had the best marketing. Tesla has the best products but has no marketing. Tesla should take a page from Steve Jobs and answer two questions for consumers. Who is Tesla? What does Tesla stand for in the mind of its consumers? Please watch the video where Jobs talks about Apple's Think Different campaign. Then think about how Tesla can define who it is and explain its relevance to consumers, whether it's EVs, autonomy, or personal robots. So I would say, who here thinks that Tesla actually has another leg higher here if they were able to effectively market their goals, their ambitions, their mission statement, everything else that is involved here in Tesla? Do you think that they have a marketing problem, for lack of a better term? And do you think that if they fix this problem, you could then potentially increase their returns? Now, for anyone that is actually interested in the video of Steve Jobs, I will go ahead and throw this tweet in the chat. You can check that out yourself. Steve Jobs still gets cited all of the time. So part of me wonders if there actually is a next step here that Tesla can take. I still suspect that the robots are going to be the big thing here for Tesla, and I am expecting a large change in its stock price as that becomes more and more mainstream. But let me know if you think there's a marketing angle there that Tesla can really take advantage of. All right, let's get back to Pro here. And let's take a look at some of the stocks that you folks want to take a look at. Buffalo by Bicycle, just kind of following up on some of the comments here from the chat. The gold chart is tough. Yeah, indeed it is. Kathy here, I love this. Gold could pull back to 370. That would actually be a very quick breach of the 200-day moving average. And Kathy, that would also pull it back into a rather substantial consolidation range as well. So let me ask you, let me turn this around. I completely agree with you. This is actually one of the things that I was just kind of talking about with Scott when I looked at this chart. To me, it sure seems like the 200-day is next here on gold. And again, I just want to reiterate, it's not that I don't think gold will go back up. It's not that I don't think gold will be a good buy at some point. One of the things that I was saying when gold was making its huge run is you can't buy it up here. You have to buy it when it comes back into a support level. It's done that a few times. The big question for me is this next support level, is this the bounce level? Because we kind of found some support there at the 100, but we didn't really move a whole lot. The 50, we basically just blew through like it wasn't even there. What's going to happen here at the 200? Do we get a bounce? Do we get a sizable bounce? I absolutely love that Scott was looking at the low volume ranges there as well, or the low volume nodes there as well. Kathy, putting you on the spot here. If we do come down and print the 200-day, maybe if we trade a little bit beneath it, doesn't have to hit it right on the head. But if we come down to that area, do you think we bounce there? And do you think that bounce is short-lived or not? Hopefully it has support at 401, given the look of the daily chart. That would be right in here. Again, this actually is a support level. This lines up with a previous resistance level that should now act as support. Gold here down 0.3 in the pre-market. Okay, Kenneth, let's take a look at feed. So, folks, you guys look like you want to go after some movers early here. Boy, I have to spell it right if I'm going to pull that chart up for you. Here's feed. Let's go to an intraday chart. I see why you folks are asking. And actually, before I do anything else, guess what we have here? Oh, you guessed correctly. We have a trend line here. Oops. Thought I turned that off there. We have a trend line here, and this is important because this trend line might actually make for a potential target here today. This is NView Medical is the name of the company for the ticker feed. Don't ask me how they got that. NView Medical shares are trading higher after the company announced a purchase of the NView navigation platform and feeding tubes. Now I understand. By a premier teaching hospital and level 1 trauma center in Michigan, bringing the company's total U.S. footprint to 39 hospitals. Okay, so purchase of the platform and some of the hardware there, the feeding tubes, that's what's driving the stock higher here by 46.58%. Let me take a look at, let me reset this chart so we can get a better look at this. Here's I think, one of the keys that we're going to have to contend with early on with feed. We're definitely up at a previous resistance area, right? Very, very clearly, we tested both of these areas here, the area that we're currently in, as well as the high end of that range. We've been unable to break through that here. I have that high end of the range right at about 2.25. So I'd say 2.25, 230, probably going to be one of those key levels here. This actually, I think if we go back here, yep. If we go back here, this also represents a support area and resistance area when we broke out. And in fact, if I go back further, you can see going all the way back till the end of last year, this area that we're in right this instant is definitely a area of resistance here. Excuse me. So do we have the strength to break out here? Is the move done? Let's take a look here at the 5-minute. Sure looks like this is going to keep trying. The trend line now gives us a target as well. So feed, actually a pretty good piece of news. Let me see if there's any short interest on this. Yeah, actually, we do have some short interest here as well. 16% of the float is shorted. Only 1 day to cover, but still looks to be some higher short interest in there. Let's see, what else do you guys have there on feed? Nothing else. So this was just, you guys are just watching a mover there. Oh, you know what? Zena was the other one, right? That was the new drone order. And then I'd be happy to give you my rundown on Ondas. Be happy to do that. So let's do that here. Let's kind of shift focus here to drones. So here's Zena, and you can see that Zena actually did come in, did a really good job holding 2. I know that did this on a day where we traded all the way up to 3. We bled all of the gains back. This type of action sucks. I'll be honest with you. When you get a nice piece of news and the stock moves, it's terrible when it gives it all back and goes red. But it did a really good job holding that area there, and since kind of come back up off that area. Kind of think 2 3/4, probably a next resistance area if this continues to go here. We have earnings unconfirmed but projected for April 6th. So just in a couple of weeks here, less than 2 weeks, in fact. And also, shout out to our news desk team who work very, very hard behind the scenes to make sure that they bring you the most accurate news as fast as humanly possible. Today, we actually gave you a 30-minute head start on Zena. Zenatech to build $5,000 drone hunter to shield from AI swarm attacks. It says they're co-integrating counter UAS systems pairing an Interceptor P1 low-cost drone with Zena AI detection and swarm command software. So again, this is something that we are all expecting to proliferate. Not only are we expecting the actual hardware that's flying around out there, hardware meaning drones that's flying around out there, we are also expecting some counter drone technology. A lot of the counter drone technology right now is an asymmetric loss for the United States. If we're shooting down very cheap drones with very expensive munitions, that is not something that is that can be palatable for long term. We want to be able to do it cheaper, and it looks like the Zena drone swarm here may be possible to do that. So, or maybe possible for us to do that. So, gave you a 30-minute head start there. Then the press release came out. Taking a look here and moving inside, it actually looks like we popped initially and then gave it back. I don't want to write this off just yet. Let's see how this thing actually trades here today. Certainly looking at this, we're basically 1 penny beneath the VWAP. We'll see if we can get above the VWAP. I would like to see this volume really increase. We'll see if we get a repeat of yesterday and the day before and the day before. If we get these volume surges right at the open, we had 3 days in a row where the stock made a move right out of the open when that volume was high. So that might also be something to watch for here today on Zena. Now, really quick, I promised you some Ondas stuff. I want to give these, I want to give you my thoughts on this as soon as I can. But a lot of the times, they simply release news before I can get my hands on it. And despite what some of you might believe, I do not have access to information before you folks do. I am dealing with the exact same restrictions that you are. Now, looking at Ondas here, we are basically testing starting with the chart, I should say. We are basically testing the 50-day. We have also held the 20-day, and we have also held this trend line. And I believe this trend line we started talking about with 13. I suspect he's got the same one on his chart here. So we've done a really good job really kind of holding some of these levels. Next, for those of us that are long and have a long-term view on Ondas, we would really like to see this start to trade up. I had kind of telegraphed the move down in the curl here using this curved line. You can see it's not really working as fast as I had hoped, but it's not dead yet. We'll see if we're able to continue to hold these areas and maybe push back up. Now, we did have earnings yesterday, and I took some notes on this, and I'm just going to go here from my notes. So yesterday, and let me actually go to the news here in case I need to reference some of these numbers. I want to be as accurate as possible. All right. Ondas printed very strong headline growth yesterday with a big 2026 ramp. And the quality of the earnings is mixed, though. So there's still a large non-cash warrant gain, but there's still negative EBITDA. And I've been talking about how what's really going to be important for this long term. I mean, of course, we're going to have pops and drops back and forth. But long term, a lot of this revenue is going to need to bleed back down to the balance sheet. It can't just be a story forever. So it's positive for the story and optionality, but it's not necessarily fundamentally strong yet. That's the key word. It absolutely could change. Now, we've talked a lot about this being high risk, high reward. So this high beta small cap, it's likely good for sentiment and in the near term, but we would want to see this continue. They are open to what we call execution risk. We want to continue to see this down the road here. Now, some positives from this earnings report. Strong top line execution versus the guidance. They basically hit the top end and guided above. That's great. That validates demand and the acquisition strategy that Eric literally talked to us about personally. They reaffirmed their 2026 revenue guide of 170 to 180 million. And that signals confidence in every step of the growth curve. In other words, they're not doing things that are kind of wasteful. They're doing things that are actually accretive. That can support higher revenue multiples if they continue to execute. They also have a very strong cash position. And this is important because the last time we saw them do an offering, we saw that offering get bought and we saw the stock move higher. So that's not going to be like that forever. Great that we have seen that. Very strong cash position and recent capital raise reduced the liquidity and the going concern for risk and gives them ammo to keep scaling and acquiring. In other words, I don't think they're necessarily going to be done with all of this. So it's not as if, well, we got this offering out of the way, now it's done. No, the CEO literally told us that they want to keep acquiring stuff to the stack, and we're probably going to see more of those. Good to see that the process so far has worked. Now, it wouldn't be the same unless there were some negatives as well. GAAP net income is flattened by a big non-cash warrant liability reevaluation. And an operating basis, they're still burning cash, as we've seen, which is why they have to keep raising. And that's shown by the negative EBITDA. So there's still some work to do here. The 2026 guide implies heavy execution risk, as I've already talked about. Now, if they execute correctly, probably not going to be a big deal. If there's missteps, could severely hurt the price. They must more than triple their revenue again. Now, I think that's possible. Given what's going on in the world, given that drones are a huge part of this, I think it's possible, but it's still a fairly lofty goal. And they also need to integrate their multiple acquisitions. So far, so good, but still presents a growing risk there. If the market was already expecting something close to these numbers, and it looks like it was, they actually did a preliminary there as well. The incremental surprise may be modest. Now, we saw an 8% gain yesterday on the back of this. Pretty good. Stock's down, just under 1% here today. Not terrible. I would like to see us get above the 50-day moving average, but that's more with the chart than the fundamentals from the earnings report. So overall, high-risk speculative growth name, but this report reads as solid. There's a bullish update on the revenue and the momentum and the balance sheet strength. The fundamental quality of the earnings is still a little bit low, and the story is execution dependent. So, so far, so good. The way I would summarize this the most is so far, so good, but we're not out of the woods yet, and they need to continue to perform. Otherwise, we might see the stock move in another direction. Okay, I am very, very sorry that I went over here. Let's go ahead and not waste any more time and get started with our pre-market pulse. All right, 13. I apologize there. I actually lost track of time, so I know we're starting your segment just a tad bit late here. Let me just ask you right off the bat here, no formalities. Where do you want to start? Movers, any individual name, and also how are you?
Oh, I'm fine. Let's go to the movers, like we always do.
I love it. 13's all business. He's like, yep, if you're going to be slow and rambling here, I'm going to be all business and speed it up. All right.
What's on this? We've never seen that before.
Yeah, no, never. But you know what? I was unable to give you my thoughts on the earnings report yesterday, so I figured I might as well do that as soon as I can here today. Now, I've already talked a little bit about feed. I'm assuming you've taken a look at this. It's the top of the movers. It also has a catalyst here. So I would just turn this over to you really quickly. I'll go ahead and read you the catalyst again. And then 13, I'd like to get your opinion here. OnView Medical shares are trading higher after the company announced a purchase of OnView navigation platform and feeding tubes by a premier teaching hospital and level 1 trauma center in Michigan, bringing the company's total U.S. footprint to 39 hospitals.
Yeah, I mean, this is something we've traded before. Back when it was up around $4, it might have been earlier this year in January, at the end of January, when we traded this, because it went on a run for a few days as high as I think almost $6. Looks like 609 was the high back in end of January. So that might have been the last time we traded this. Those levels will still be in play if we can even get up there. I'm not sure that we will, because the earliest ones I have are going to be up at 403. The nearest resistance area that I see that's in the way from where we are at right now is going to be this 256 price area where the 65 EMA is. I think that consolidation there is going to provide a good amount of resistance, and that starts. We're actually in the middle of some of the early parts of that consolidation right now. But if we continue higher, I expect that we'll run into some heavier resistance up in the 250s. And right now it's looking like it's having a bit of a struggle going through the getting up to the 230s. Yep. So that's kind of where I'm at right now with the resistance. If we can't get into that 230 area and we come back in, watch for VWAP to be support. If we lose that, the next area of support beneath that is going to be, looks like about 185.
Okay. 185. Interesting. So I actually have, so we'll see if we end up getting that here. Real quick, let me draw. I do have a fair value gap here, and I would say that this is still unmitigated. We're basically looking at the top of this candle to the bottom of these candles. I guess we did have a wick that came in here. Now, what's interesting about this is that the top end of this range, 13, is 173. So you said 180 right there?
180, 185. There's an area for when we had the impulse move that ended up being a breakout spot. And then when we came back in underneath VWAP, we got support there before we went on this rally that we're at now. So that's why I'm looking at that. It kind of lines up with about 185.
Okay. So drawing canvas as, I'm just going to call this FVG. All right. Oh no. Why did I have to do that? Saved something and crashed it. Just let me refresh here. We'll get right back to that. Good stuff on that breakdown there on feed. We'll see if we get an opportunity here for that. I know this is one of the big movers that folks were looking at earlier here today. So, okay, there's the fair value gap. We're good on that. Let me keep moving on here. UGRO is the next one. UGRO. This is Urban Grow. This is from yesterday, right? So we had nothing fresh here today. Let me just confirm and make sure, right? Nothing fresh here today. This looks like a continuation from the PR yesterday, which was about completing a strategic all-stock merger with Flash Sports, bringing its portfolio to T20 League commercial rights to UGRO.
It's the
cricket one. This is what we talked about. I'm just saying that there's no new news here. We actually did have some pretty high volume yesterday. So if you want to say that this is a relative volume play here today, sure. Actually, the biggest move came when we were off air yesterday. For those of you that were still playing around with this, shout out to the Benzinga Pro chat room that I was kind of monitoring yesterday afternoon. All of a sudden, I saw a whole bunch of chalk about this and a whole bunch of really happy folks that seemed to be trading this on that huge move here. Now, in the after hours, we took another leg higher. We've kind of chopped around here in the pre-market. We've really kind of carved out this 875 area as a potential resistance area. A quick reminder here of the short interest on this, 5.6% with only 1 day to cover. So there's some, but it's not huge. On average, it trades 2.77 million shares. It's done 9.56 here today, and it still has a micro float, 670,000 shares in the float. So 13, what do you think here on UGRO?
Well, it only has that small float because it did a 1 for 25 reverse split earlier this year in February. This is one of the ones that's going through NASDAQ recompliance. They had to reverse split in order to gain that. It looks like they are back in compliance, but they still need cash. So I would at least keep that in the back of my mind if you're trading this, that at any point they could do a capital raise. They're going to need it. I don't think they've done any other capital raises prior to their, since their reverse split. So I think that's, it creates a little bit of risk here. As far as trading goes, like there's really nothing new to add. Like you said, it could be this relative volume. We're kind of going sideways right now since we opened in the pre-market. So not a whole lot of price action in the pre-market. Since the after hours. We just kind of been going sideways since, I guess, 5 or 4 or 5 yesterday. But anyway, I don't have a whole lot to add to this one. Let me look at this on the chart real quick.
Did a really, I mean, just kind of looking at yesterday's, did a really good job finding support at the 65 EMA, which we often take a look at. Kind of rode that for a while, but then when it moved through VWAP, it did so on the expanding volume that we look for every single day. That gave us the really big trade of the day.
Just look at, I mean, you've got this consolidation channel that we've been in since yesterday, and I just would watch for when we fall out of that. So sure. If we lose, let's say 760, that would be falling out of the sideways channel. You've got support at, it looks like 725 and 660. 660 actually lines up with the 200 EMA on the 5-minute. So those would be your support areas to the downside. But if we're going to be going more north than this, look for a breakout over 875. That's the top end of the consolidation that we're in. We have a high of 910 from yesterday. I'm not going to really, give a whole lot of weight to that print. It was a pop and then drop. I think the important level you're going to want to watch for is a breakout of 875.
Okay. Next on our list here is Anna. Anna, are you okay? Are you okay, Anna? Here we go. So this is actually ripping here again in the pre-market. This had a really big move on Friday. Was kind of boring yesterday, but here we go. Ramping a little bit in the pre-market. We are seeing some increased volume here as well. Taking a look at the news feed here, nothing fresh. So just seems to be moving on either relative volume or just kind of a continuation from what we saw recently. Taking a look at the short interest, 0.89% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover. I got to say that's negligible. I don't think that's going to affect anything here today. On average, it trades 2.2 million shares, done 6.68 here versus a float of 3.5. So looking at the chart here, which is I think really all we have for our roadmap, I sure see some resistance here at about 730. What do you think on Anna?
I had you draw trend lines for this. Did you get rid of them?
No, I've had a lot of stuff reset here, so it's quite possible I just simply lost it.
So from the 20th, actually the 19th to the 20th, the after hours into the pre-market, I had you draw trend lines from the
yes. I remember now. So here's the after hours high through the pre-market high, and you had me extend that, right?
No. That's the 18th. Okay. I said the 19th and 20th.
Okay, so
the two high. There you go. That's
so right here. Okay, yeah. Sorry, man.
Draw it through those two highs and then just keep it going. It was surprising when we looked at it the very next day and how it was providing support before we lost it, and then if you just keep it going, now it's resistance and we've just broken through it. All right. So the high from the 19th after hours. Okay, the high from the 19th after hours. There you go. No,
yep.
You just had it. There you go, right there. The high from the pre-market the next day.
That's right in here.
There you go.
Oh, sorry, dude. Let me make sure I got this correct here.
That looks so much different than mine, but essentially we're breaking out of this trend line right now. I don't know why that looks so different, but yeah.
Is
anyway.
the chart on logarithmic scale? Maybe not. I don't know.
Anyway,
doing my best.
Anyway, that's the trend that we just broke. We're in this same consolidation where we were going sideways when we had this first move up on the 20th. So we're in that resistance right now. The high that we've made out of all of this price action was 784. That was back on the 20th. We haven't been back up there, but I suspect that's where we could end up going here this morning. Now, if we do get up there, I would also keep 8 on watch, but and maybe even 9. Nine's a bit of a support and resistance area going back to 2024. But for now, let's just see if we can even get back up to the top of that consolidation area, which is going to be between 740 and 780. Okay,
we'll see what we get here with Anna. I'm encouraged by the volume pop that we got recently, but that needs to hold. What do you got?
The chat is not updating. Like the last post I have is from Big Hurt at 8:06. So let me see if I can refresh this real quick. I don't know why the feed is not working.
I'll go ahead and start with the next one here. It looks like it's updating on my end, so we'll get you right back in here as soon as you're ready. Okay. Next here, I have AIB. This is blockchain digital infrastructure. This actually made a pop earlier here in the pre-market on some pretty good volume, retraced the entire move, basically went back down to unchanged from yesterday, started to ramp again, and tried to take the VWAP. All right, let's bring 13 back on here. Let's make sure he's ready. All right. How's it working? Or is it?
Well, it looks like it's updating. I need somebody to post something, and I'll know. But I just got an update, and it said Big Hurt posted again. So
Anna,
yeah, it's posting. It's
okay,
working.
sweet. So. Selena, thank you for doing that. Okay. AIB here, blockchain digital infrastructure. We had one initial pop. We've had a second one here today that has created a lower high. Don't have any new news here. I guess we did have a 13D come out yesterday. Haven't gone through it. We can take a look at that if required. I got nothing here on the short interest. Not only do I not have a reading, but the previous readings were less than 0.1%. So I'm going to say that there's nothing in there. Don't have a float reading on this. I'll be curious to see if you have one, but on average, stock trades 2.7 million shares versus the 6 million it's traded here today. What do you think on AIB?
I don't know anything about this company.
Me either. Let me see if I can. Man, I don't even have a blurb about this one.
So is this like a new issue? Did this just start trading under this ticker like just this month?
Yeah, it looks like March 17th. At least based on the chart. It's a merger with SGN, Dream Chaser.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know anything about this. I really can't give you any insight. Blockchain. I mean, I would assume that it's just going to move with crypto. But beyond that, I don't know anything about this. Become subsidiaries of blockchain. So what is this company going to end up doing with this blockchain?
I don't know. It looks like a strategic shift, but
AI infrastructure. I mean, it sounds like it's going to be a data center.
Blockchain AI currently operates a 40 megawatt data center in the campus of South Carolina, which generated approximately 22.9 million in revenue and approximately 5.7 million in net income in 2024. Management believes the company's development pipeline and infrastructure partnerships position the platform to scale capacity across multiple sites as demand for AI compute continues to grow. It looks like what they're doing is just chasing the AI theme. Data center play that's chasing the AI theme here.
And this was Signing Day Sports.
It was Signing Day Sports, and this is a small cap.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry I don't have more to add on this, but we'll see. What happens
I'm just gonna move on then, because this has been relatively disastrous just because of that stock here. I'm serious, like that. That's crazy. Okay, next here is going to be ELAB. The ticker here ELAB. This is PMGC Holdings. Shares are trading higher after the company announced its subsidiary SVM Machining has completed an international traffic and arms regulation registration, which may further enable SVM to pursue defense and aerospace programs that require compliance with U.S. export control standards. Okay, so that is a mouthful there. Looks like this is just kind of playing into some of the trade issues that were going on. International Traffic in Arms Regulations Registration and its compliance with ITAR.
Yeah, it's funny too, because I know we've traded ELAB before, and this is a company that was more geared around like skincare, because it's a holding company, so it's going to have different things in it, I guess. So yeah, you have basically all the softness of skincare with the the rigidness of an arms deal. That's basically how
looks like it's Webull restricted. Thank you, Big Hurt. So this is I wonder if it's toss restricted too.
Yeah, and it's got about a couple of quarters of cash, so I'm not sure that they need to raise capital soon, but they're going to have to at some point. 541,000 shares in the float. So I mean, we did have the impulse move already, probably on a short squeeze, because we have 16% of the float shorted. So that did take us up a little more than $6.
I don't have that. No, I have 2.67% of the float shorted as of the last read.
What does the key data say for you on the overview?
Short percent of float 16, but that is pulling an older one.
It must be, but how old? I mean,
click on the short interest tab. That's what I'm looking at here.
Yeah,
short interest tab, the last reading, the most recent reading here, unless we've got another one.
It's all over the place, the short interest though. But anyway, aside from that, it's got multiple levels that it needs to recapture if it's going to turn back around. You've got the 460, the 480, 520. It's like every 20 cents this thing finds support and then loses it. Same thing on the way back up. Let me see what this looks like on a 5-minute chart here. Yeah, 480 really does stand out. And then the 5 area lines up with VWAP. So I would say those two areas are going to be the next big resistance, 480 and 5.
Okay. 480 and 5. All right, let's see what else we have here. Was there anything else that you wanted to cover off of this list, Jeff?
No, I was looking mostly at Feed, Elab, and then Ugrow and Anna.
Okay, so we covered all of the ones that you were looking at here. Mm-hmm. Jeff, someone else mentioned this earlier here. This is Jefferies Financial Group. Shares are trading higher after reports suggesting that Japan's Sumitomo Mitsui Financial Group is considering making a takeover bid for Jeff. Okay. Stock is up 6.6% here. I don't know. Yeah, 2.75% of the float shorted here. So possible takeover target seems like the rumor stage right now. This was a Bloomberg article. So if anyone wants it, let me drop this in the chat for you.
This is the same Jefferies that comes out with the analyst price targets and ratings, right? Same Jefferies. I think so. I think this is it.
Full service investment banking and capital markets firm. Yes.
So that's interesting. Let's see, take over a bit. So, I mean, if maybe, I don't know. Gosh, there's a lot going on with this. You got their earnings tomorrow. I don't know how that's going to affect the takeover news. I mean, I'm sure if it's positive, we're going to see it higher. But what if we get the news about the takeover happening the same time they release their earnings? I don't know. I'm just kind of wondering.
A rumor that they might address during the earnings report.
Right.
That would be something else. Okay.
That's kind of what I'm reading into here. Is like they're
this definitely at a support level, or it looks like it to me anyway.
Yeah. Look at a different chart here. Got 4 minutes left. It's actually coming up to a bit of a resistance level. No, we're above that now. So we recaptured the 20-day SMA. That's pretty big. And it looks like 44 is the next big resistance area. But this recaptured the 20-day SMA on that news.
Okay.
See if it
holds. All right. You got anything else that you want to take a look at? We got less than 4 minutes till we open here. I'm going to go with RBNE, and I'm just going to have you cover it here. It looks like several folks in the chat are asking about this. This is Robin Energy. Stock is up 41%. This wasn't quite a penny stock, but it is ripping here. I'm guessing this is on some news.
It's just started going.
Commencing a tender offer to acquire 1 million of its common stock at $3 per share. That's a double from where we're at here. Quick peek at the short interest, 12+%. So that's something. On average, trades 1.3 million, done 4.6 here, float 6.7. 13. Break this chart down like a fraction. Oh, what's going on? Break this chart down like a fraction for us. I'll be right back.
All right. Well, let's see what I can do with this sudden move. So it looks like that this tender offer expires at by the time or at the end of the day, 5 p.m. Eastern on April 23rd, unless extended or withdrawn. So that's how long this is going on for. Day chart, we're at 160 right now. And we are coming up, let's see, looks like we just passed through the 9 EMA, and we're coming up to some resistance on 190. And if we get up to 3, that's when we start to get into some consolidation from earlier this year and last year. At about 280, looks like 280, we start this whole consolidation channel, and the thick of it is going to be at about 4. Now I don't know that we're going all the way up to 4, since this whole thing is all this move is for $3 a share. We could. The float is still low enough to where we could see it push beyond there and maybe even run into the 65 EMA, where the price likes to go to on the daily chart. That's going to have a value of a 341. So let's say we do go up to 3, and the volatility is just so up there that it continues to push the price beyond $3. I think that 65 EMA is going to come into play there if we get that kind of volume. So that would be one area to watch for, that 65 EMA. But let's see if we can, what happens once we approach 280, because that's where we enter the consolidation channel. We're currently trying to get over 160 right now.
Boom, perfect timing. Look at that.
Thanks, Bob. There was a reverse split with that, 1 for 5. Let me look at the calendar here. Yeah, so this happened in December, so a few months ago. But yeah, they did a 1 for 5 reverse split. I don't know if there was a compliance issue or not. Let's see if there was. I see where they. Okay, so they did it. They also had a $1 million share buyback program. So we could also see some movement on that as well, but I don't see any NASDAQ compliance issues going through the feed here. Anyway, we've got 5 seconds. Let's have a good day.
There we go. Good luck today, folks.
All right. What's looking good out the gate here? RBNE backing off from that 160 area. Looks like the first reaction is the pull. Feed pushing higher though. Reversal should be illegal. Reverse splits, you mean, should be illegal?
Yeah, that's something.
It's the frequency of when they're done. I think the free reign of just being able to do them like whenever the company feels it's appropriate or when they need to regain compliance. I think there should be a limit, but
I was just going to say, what about a limit or maybe some more guidelines that might protect investors or something like that? AAOI, which we talked about here this morning, this was actually up here in the pre-market. Looks like this is now up out of the open above the pre-market and after hours highs here. AAOI looking pretty
Venture Global,
good.
VG.
That's VG, right? Got it.
Anna now moving, looking for that 734 high from this morning. Just printed beyond it a little bit here. 735 now is the high.
SPY with a little bit of a pop here. See if that lasts or if that's just kind of a head fake. Actually, the NASDAQ popping too. I've got VWAP at SPY 652. We're currently, or 652 and change, currently at 652 right now. Anna trying to go above its pre-market high. EVTV getting mentioned.
It just ran into 750 and found a seller.
Which one was that? Sorry?
Anna.
Got it. So you're on Anna here. EVTV, this did pop above the VWAP there. I'll try to get back in check here.
Xena, maybe I just saw something, but I thought I just saw it pop up to VWAP come back in. 250 in Xena is the price that needs to get over here. Could have sworn I just saw some movement, but it looks like it's not doing anything right now.
Looks like it just tried to pop above the VWAP. Looks like it tried to, but let me bring it up in a different chart here. Oh, this looks the same.
Yeah. It's funny with Ugrow. This thing is spanning almost the entire width of the consolidation that it's been putting in since yesterday. This out of the first 5 minutes of the open here, we're going to the bottom of the range and almost near the top of the range.
What do we think? 871?
Well, if we're gonna, what was that? I think it was at 875, or I said some figure about where.
Yeah, 875.
Yeah.
See if it goes towards 9.
Anna 766 now the high. This has been fantastic this week. Coming back in a little bit here, but still above the trend line. Hopefully we can get some support above 7. All right, so ELAB coming in, RBNE coming in. Feed had a pop up to 239, and it's coming right back into VWAP.
Let's see if it holds that 207. Now, again on feed here, I'm not going to do that. Let me actually redraw this. Give me one sec. Give me one sec. Okay, here we go. So this is the fair value gap area. We'll see if we get in there. Might hold here at VWAP at 207. We'll see.
Okay. Hold on a second. I got to double check something real quick here because I know about this Moog company. It's publicly traded. I just saw some news here from Redwire this morning regarding
CJ was actually asking about Redwire. Let me bring that up, 13.
Just give me one moment here.
Ondas popped out of the gate. You love to see it. You just love to see it.
Okay, so MOG/A. I couldn't remember what the ticker was, but that's Moog. Basically, the news here with Redwire is that they were awarded a contract to deliver ELSA high-performance low-mass solar arrays to Moog Inc. for a national security program. Moog is one of the companies that we were looking at for the robotics in space, big component manufacturer. So I just thought that was interesting, and that's likely the reason why you're seeing the movement here with Redwire today. Do we see 10? I don't know. It'd be nice. I would actually like to see a move. We're so close with these moving averages. I'd like to see the price take out the 50, 500, and the 200-day SMAs. They're all pretty much in the same area. I would love for that to just get taken out, and that means we would need to go beyond 1050.
Okay, so 1050, kind of a key spot, it sounds like there. Real quick, just a quick check-in on the market here. SPY is trying to bounce, so we actually have a short-term trend, short-term bullish trend. However, the 15-minute trend is actually bearish, more on the lines of choppy. Our ticks are still negative here as well, so we'll see if this bounce holds. Actually, it looks like a rejection there at VWAP. That's for the SPY.
We're still getting some more movement here in ANA.
GLW, I'm seeing a whole bunch of put flow into GLW, and that's notable because this is straight up out of the gate. Puts are 135, so it looks like in the money puts. Here's ANA 13.
Mm-hmm.
Feed at VWAP.
766 in ANA right now is the high. We haven't got it gone higher in this current candle. Then you were saying feed. Yeah, we're down at the VWAP.
Yeah, we'll see if this gets the bounce like Anna did. You're right, Big Hurt. That was a pretty decent bounce there. Feed, we'll see if it bounces here. No position for me on this. And I actually think I'd like this to maybe test a little bit lower, maybe even try to hold 2 and then recapture the VWAP. I think I'd like that a little bit more.
ANA 769 now the new high. RBNE drop beneath VWAP, and then the very next candle pop right back up beneath above it, but it hasn't recaptured some of the highs it was making just before we opened. Still struggling with 150. Xena now trading over VWAP. It's moving very slowly, but we're above VWAP right now. It really looks like the only good one here is ANA. ANA's still moving higher. 779 now, 782, 88. Now we have a seller trying to walk it down. Maybe he gets deleted.
Okay, let me put Anna on screen. If we've got the most movement there, maybe I'll keep that on screen for a little bit. SPY still in a bearish trend, Selena. I completely agree with you. To me, I know it's testing the VWAP right here. It's maybe trying to show that it wants to bounce here. I don't know if I trust it yet, Selena.
Well, we got a gap to fill first, created from the overnight price action.
Yeah, and now that I'm just kind of thinking out loud here, my indicator that I have developed for SPY for the purpose of trading 0 DTEs here, I get too many flickerings when the entry is kind of questionable. Like I get the signal saying that you should buy here, and then it kind of disappears a second later as the market ticks adjust. And I feel like the next step for me is kind of tightening that up here a little bit. CJ Parker, or CW Parker, excuse me. Let me know if you're out there. I might ask for a little tip from you. Anyway.
You grow halted to the downside.
Uh-oh.
Anna printed 805, so we got our 8 print. This is higher than what we were getting on the 20th. What was that, Friday? Nice moves here with Anna. Anna's been the winner so far this morning.
Yeah, no question. Now we are getting so far a hold of the VWAP here in feed. So that is trying to bounce here for a real good trade. I'd really like to see this maybe test that 239 high. But so far so good, and the VWAP actually lined up pretty good with the 15 EMA as well. So we're bouncing from that area so far in feed.
If you can trade it, this is a restricted one.
Oh, that's right. Let me see. 13. Thank you. You know what? I was going to test that myself here. Let's see. So I was able to put an order in via the computer here on Thinkorswim, and I was not rejected. So that seems like it's restricted on Webull, but not on Toss.
That's fine. I'm having a good time watching Velo 3D have a good morning. This thing opened, printed a low of 1290, and now it's 1405.
Okay, cool. Selena, check it out. Here's our SPY. We went right up to that VWAP, said, you know what? Don't really trust this here. Not looking all that great. Right back down. So far, our first read there on SPY, pretty good. Selena saying, SPY, I'm seeing a fib near 646. That could hit in the days to come. Okay, so 646, maybe another level there on SPY to keep an eye out. I appreciate that, Selena. Good stuff. And actually, the entire market yanked. It traded up a little bit towards that VWAP. We are actually new lows here now on NASDAQ. And SPY approaching the morning lows. Dow doing the same thing. Dow at about 46,000.
Not Anna. This thing looks like it wants to make some new highs.
Well done. Well done.
And then Astro, I'll look at Voya for you. Give you my thoughts. We are having the 50 across the 200 to the downside, the 200-day SMA to the downside. That just happened. Looks like last week. Yeah, this might not be recovering yet. Let me look at some other time frames here.
VG found resistance at 1750, by the way. Planet Labs, this ripped out of the gate, found some resistance there at 36 before backing off that spot.
Voya, to me, it looks more bearish. I think you're going to get some more downside here. And if that's the case, I think I'd be looking at maybe somewhere around 60, like maybe just beneath $60. You have on the weekly chart the 500-week SMA that's down at 58.50. That looks like it'll end up with a pretty interesting spot near 60. The fact that we lost our 200-week SMA and have not been able to recapture it after 3 weeks indicates to me that there's still not enough strength, not enough volume in this to pull it back up. So I think down is where this could end up going sooner than later. And your nearest support that you have is going to be 65. So if this price comes down to 65 and it's looking like it's not going to hold, I think that you're going to get your breakdown towards 60. That's just the way it looks to me in Voya Financial. I don't know if it's going to have some news or earnings that completely negate what I'm saying, but just the way the chart looks, not able to recapture that 200-week SMA, I think is a very big tell that this is probably coming in some more.
Okay. All right, good stuff there. Feed is still holding on, but man, that came right back into its VWAP, so not a whole lot on that. Market testing 650 to the downside. We'll see if that holds there. I still have a bearish trend. The short-term bullish trend has evaporated now. We're at choppy stage on that.
I know Big Hurt's making some big gains today with Anna. This thing is awesome.
I was asking you, Anna, are you okay?
But I think this candle might be the one of the last green candles we see for a little bit, because the next one might be some selling, a little bit more bearish. I think let's see what we get with the next candle. I don't want to affect anybody's trade plan for this, but we just had 3 really nice green candles out of the open. I think that there'd be some profit taking in the next 5 minutes.
Okay.
RBNE.
Okay, so maybe take gains there with Anna.
Yeah, it might. I mean, that's like I said, I don't want to affect anybody's trade plan with this, but it just looks like that could be the case here with Anna. So.
Okay, so broader markets still struggling with the VWAP. The futures on that 15-minute, we traded right up to the VWAP. We got rejected. So until that changes, we'll see. I love this comment here from Marty. Tesla's bouncing up pretty good for no marketing. I see what you did there, Marty, and I appreciate it. Tesla, worth noting here, though, we are not above yesterday's intraday high. So this 385 area, that's going to be key there. Bob is all out. Anna, you know what that means. And also, I can't let this one go. Ed Edwards told us it's a trap. It's a trap. So had to get that in there. Thank you, Ed. Zach mentioning that Bull had great earnings. Zach, is it enough for a bullish run? No, we're down 1.7% on Bull.
We're starting to get
at some point. This is going to give a trade. I all of you folks that are kind of waiting on Bull, I understand your pain. I totally get it. At some point, this is going to give us a good trade. I can't tell you when that's going to be. I would have already thought we moved here, to be honest. What were the earnings? Let me just take a quick glance at that. Adjusted EPS was in line and sales were above the estimate slightly. And that was from Wednesday of last week. So no movement here with Bull. Still kind of stuck.
Wednesday of last week.
Isn't that what it said? Did I misread the date?
I have the 4th.
Oh, sure did. Sorry, Wednesday, March 4th. That's my fault. 13. I'm terrible. So I apologize. I can. Don't worry. What? Here, I'll just let 13 handle it.
No, it's okay. I think that's what happened on the 4th. I mean, it looks like we did get a little reaction from that. I mean, we popped up over the 20-day SMA, and then the very next day we were right back underneath it. So there's your earnings reaction right there. I need to see some more sideways price action. I want to see some bottoming. We might be starting to see that now, but it's gonna take some time. I would want to see $5 hold up for, let's say, another month or two, at least a month. We got to see some bottoming here, and I don't think we've quite seen that yet, but it looks like we could start seeing that soon. So
okay, so hope you're ready to wait a month there for Bull.
Maybe it takes that long. I need to start seeing some bottoming, because look at what happened between the earnings and the whole month prior. We bottomed, we bounced, and we went sideways for a little bit, had the earnings, and then we made new lows. So no bottoming yet, and that was a whole month. So I need to see there's going to have to be some time where we go sideways for a bit, establish our footing, and start recapturing some of these moving averages.
Okay, real quick, CW Parker, good to see you here this morning. Let me ask you, any tips on what type of code to adjust to make an indicator not as twitchy, is how I want to describe it. Not as twitchy. Let me know if you have anything for that. And if I'm not being clear enough, I totally get it. ACXP getting mentioned by WIS. This was straight up out of the gate here.
And thank you, NBS. Anna dropping off slowly. I was just mentioning about how the next candle could be a red one. So far, that's the case. We still have 3.5 minutes left in it. But we were even Big Hurt was on this. He was like, yeah, I think this is going to start seeing some selling. And here we are. We're getting a little bit of profit taking here. I just don't know if this is going to be the end of it for Anna, but certainly something we expected to see happen here after this last series of green candles.
And here's that VCX. I know this was a recent IPO. This went ham yesterday. Looks like we might have another one here today. This is not halted currently, but definitely a risk of a halt here, VCX. And this thing is spread like you would not believe. Thank you, CW Parker. That is a pro tip right there. I will take that. I'll play around with that, and I'll let you know what I get. Appreciate you a lot.
Anna's starting to get a lift here. Not green yet, but buyers trying to step in. Just be careful with this one.
Market tried to bounce off 650, but same deal here. We don't have the strength to recapture the VWAP. In fact, we're not terribly close to it. It just gives us something to watch here. Tick looks like it's trying to go green. I don't want to make too early of a call on that, though.
Let's see. We are now past 15 minutes since the open. Just want to see what how the market would start to trade after the first 15 minutes, because we've got all the volatility at the open out of the way here. So let's see what we get now.
Swarmer getting mentioned here. This is another recent drone play. We've kind of talked about how this is overvalued, but still a pretty good momentum play here. This is trading up, but basically I don't know, a quarter of a way into the range from yesterday. So I wouldn't really take too much from this move yet in Swarmer. That's just me personally.
I think this has a pretty significant lockup period. I wasn't the one that was looking at this. Voodoo was much more on this than I was, and I would defer to him on where this could go, because he was bringing up some really interesting points about how this could continue moving. And I think that was before we had the move up towards 65, where we got the all-time highs in this.
QNTM, this is getting mentioned here by Wiss. Wiss, this is straight up out of the gate here. This looks like this had a pretty big move yesterday midday. They had news in the morning. The move came midday. Looks like we're getting a continuation of that here today. I'd like to see this volume keep going higher. Battle turned green, BATL. It's been a battle, if you will. Well, it looks like it only turned green briefly, so it was playing with red to green there. Tick chart could not move into the positive. Sorry, 13. We're right back down at 650.
Now watch. Do you have a 34% short interest on this?
On which one? Battle?
Mm-hmm.
Let's take a look here. Indeed, 34.06% of the float is shorted.
Okay, because it says 20.7 in the key data, but let's go with the 30. Either way, this thing is highly shorted.
So I will look into what that's actually doing, but just for full disclosure here, this record on the short interest tab, these are what is actually being calculated from the filings themselves. So on the surface, I would trust this number a little bit more, but I'll look into the calculation that we see on key data.
And we did have the earnings from yesterday for Battle, but I think that short interest is really coming into play here with the movement that we were getting earlier.
This thing's still kind of a trend is your friend thing, and the trend here is clearly down, right? We had the one impulse move. Since then, we've been trending lower.
Well,
BTU getting mentioned by Alpha Trade.
If Battle's going to come back up and find resistance, I would think it's going to be at 15.
Okay, that'd be a substantial move to get to 15. Here's BTU. So this did spike out of the gate here. I don't know if there's a trade on this though.
I mean, there might be. It's kind of trading up into a bit of a rising wedge, I think. Look here. Or is this more of a parallel channel? No, I think that's, I really can't say. I mean, you could draw trend lines on both the up and upper side and the bottom side of all the. If you have to go to a daily chart, and you'll see what I'm talking about. But if you look at all the highs and lows that kind of stand out over the past 6 months, that kind of gives you a bit of a range that this thing has been trading in. There you go, you see it, and it looks like it's kind of a bit like a rising wedge. So if that's the case, eventually this is gonna the price is gonna fall out of this, and it'll be a bearish pattern. Just don't know when that's going to be. We could still see some more tests of the top end of this range before we go and lose this.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll throw it on the chart here, and whenever that happens, that'll be our trigger. We'll take a look at that. Real quickly, just saw a tweet here that I want to kind of share with you. I know the street tweet segment is done, but still wanted to get the group's opinion on this. This comes from Gal AI on Twitter, or on X, excuse me. Bernstein predicts Bitcoin hitting 150K by year end as institutions flock back to crypto. Does anyone buy this? Does anyone think that is reasonable at all? I was hoping Jamie Dimon was going to be here to give his thoughts on this. I would say this, though. If this is the case, I got to think that the SPY ends up trading higher this year as well. I think if Bitcoin goes to 150, and that's been one of our risk-on indicators, I would imagine that would bode very well for the broader market. But just seeing that come across the wire here, I'm not saying it's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't see 150 this year. I see the equities rising again, and I expect that Bitcoin will come back up because it's the biggest risk on parameter. But I don't think we're going to see 150.
Okay, fair enough. Envious says Anna's going to hit 850.
Okay, so I took it off my screen for a little bit. We did get one red candle, and it said, okay, that's good enough. And now here we are making new highs again. I was thinking we would at least come back into the VWAP for support. We didn't even get there.
Envious might be right. Selena says, I agree, Ryan, but later. And I would totally agree with that. I don't think we're done yet. I don't think we're done yet with our move down here. I actually would be encouraged if we hit that 628-ish level. Aren't gluten-free crypto rather amused by that handle there, saying aren't banks moving away from stablecoin? So I'm looking at Circle here. Circle's getting absolutely pounded here today. Circle partners with Sase FinTech to expand its USDC adoption and digital payments infrastructure across Africa. Market not rewarding that.
I would say, let's see if we get support at the 20-day SMA. That's going to be 111.22 cents. Because we just lost the 200-day SMA. It looks like that 20 is the next support area. And it's got an interesting history down around that 111, 112, because that was a previous support area back in September of 2025, and then we ended up losing it in November.
Regarding the question here, gluten-free, I'm sorry for leaving you hanging there. Aren't banks moving away from stablecoin? I don't think they are, right? I think they're actually more or less cautiously moving towards them.
Aren't we waiting for some more legislation?
Yeah, that's kind of what I mean about cautiously. Like, I don't know that we have enough to say that they're moving away from that.
Yeah, I don't think that they're moving away. I just don't think they're moving in yet.
Yeah, I feel like they're still exploring tokenized deposits.
Yeah,
right?
I think it really comes down to the legislation that needs to get passed in order for them to feel more comfortable about doing it, because they don't want to just jump into it. I mean, maybe some do. They want to be the ones that are in early, but maybe there's a little bit more caution being taken with some of these other banks.
Gluten-free saying, I thought banks ban stablecoin yield. I mean, I suppose it's possible I missed something here, but doesn't JP Morgan have some platform with like some dollar-backed tokens? I don't think so, but let me know if you have something that we should look at or a piece of news like that. Drop it here. We'll take a look at that.
They're not banning stable coins, but I think what who just mentioned that gluten. They're not banning the interest yield, but they are lobbying aggressively against that. I remember that being the issue. The yield is a big problem, I think, for getting this Genius Act through. So I think that's where the issue is. It's not happening. Like, it's not a ban that's happened. There are proposals. There's lobbying against it, but I think that's where we're at right now. It's kind of that deadlock.
And then wouldn't that Genius Act make stablecoins more attractive on, just as a whole?
You'd have to get a Genius Act genius on this. I'm not one.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you were. So, sorry, you're my resident Genius Act genius. So, I'll try it. I'll try. And
I have not followed the Genius Act or that the other one. I think it's Clarity Act or anyway. I haven't followed those as closely as I should, because just not too into crypto.
All is rising. All right, did I get it right? A1 all is rising. I think that A1 is rising or all is rising. I'm probably butchering it. I'm sorry. The comment's great though. Banks just want to take our yield from the stables, stealing from holders. That F all the banks.
Okay, so Anna, looking like it's getting a little bit more weakness here. 844 was the high it printed in the last 5-minute candle, but now we're coming back down towards VWAP. If this is all that Anna gives today, then I think that's fine. It's really nice moves from the high 6s to the mid 8s. Not bad at all.
I'll tell you what, there was really nothing else out of the open that gave as tradable as move as Anna. You guys did a really good job holding that, or staying on top of that and then talking about it. Whole group, not just you, 13, but the whole group.
Big Hurt's been on it. Looks like
Big Hurt's been on it since the pre-market. Big Hurt likes to get up early.
You grow down to the 200 EMA on the 5-minute. This is also the area of consolidation where it was had run up into the highs for yesterday before we closed. So down at a support area now. We'll see if it actually gets support.
By the way, I had a poll question 13 in the right from the start of the show here. The results are in for that. This was basically off of something that we discussed yesterday on Happy Hour.
Okay.
How long until the SMR story yields profits? Medium term, which is 6 to 24 months, that was 33%. Long term, 2 to 5 years, that came in at 30%. Short term, 0 to 6 months, that was 25%, and won't deliver real profits ever, or at least just won't deliver real profits. That came in at 12%.
So we were talking yesterday about Oklo.
Yeah,
not SMR. And
Oklo,
no,
yeah, right. But the just the kind of theme here of some of the small nuclear reactors.
Well, Oklo's Oklo's a little bit further ahead in terms of what they've got going on and what they're building and if they're going to see revenue. They've got a project in Idaho we talked about that's going to start generating power and revenue in the not too distant future. I think that the time frame for that was like late 2027, early 2028. But SMR is not expected to start seeing revenue generation until the 2030s. I think that 2032 was the number that I was seeing. This is all information that you can search up too. It's not that difficult, but SMR much further along. I'm sorry, Oklo is much further along than SMR, and you'll see Oklo generate revenue sooner than SMR will. SMR is going to be still years away.
Real quickly here, SPY through the VWAP as we speak, and the tick chart at the same time is going positive. Now, I still have a choppy momentum trend on the short term and the 15-minute chart here. So we'll see if this pop is something that can continue here. We did retake the VWAP. We'll see if it holds above this or if we just give this back and continue to print lower.
There it goes.
RBNE.
Yeah, it was setting up. I was watching it, and I was like, it just needs to make a move beyond 154. And as I said, RBNE, it started to move.
Curse of the commentator, I'm afraid.
So that was a nice little breakout of consolidation. I don't know where this runs to, but nice little breakout of consolidation there.
Daniel, looking at Palantir here. Palantir pulling back 3.6% here. It looks like it is trying to hold there at 155. Here's what Palantir's daily chart looks like. We're basically right back into that consolidation area. 150, I would imagine, would be the level that needs to continue to hold here. But Palantir, a pullback after yesterday's move. So we basically pulled back to the pre-market highs today so far. Now, several of you folks are talking about PAVs. I'm sorry I haven't got to it a little bit sooner. Apologize. It is a penny stock, so we generally weight this a little bit lower. But indeed, this is making a pretty nice move too. And we're also seeing the volume expand here. We didn't cover this. Paranovus Entertainment Technology shares are trading higher after the company announced it had terminated an at-the-market equity sales agreement with Alliance Global Partners. That's driving the stock higher here. No position for me, up 145%.
AI-powered entertainment industry is what this company does. Mobile game. Seems like they've got a lot of different things here. Very, pretty low float too, 3.5 million.
For a penny stock, indeed, that is pretty low.
You've got some short squeeze potential. 10.44% of the float shorted with 6 3/4 days to cover. So that kind of fits our parameters a little bit there. We'd like to see the percent higher, but the days to cover is up there.
AAOI, you guys we talked a little bit about this here this morning. This was one of our stocks in focus, but it looks like the entire fiber optic sector again having a good day. AAOI, this popped above 104, came back in, held the 15 EMA, recaptured the VWAP, might be going back towards the highs. The other two that we often talk about involved in the same theme here is going to be LITE, that's Lumentum Holdings. This is actually beneath its VWAP, but did pop here today. And then the other one is Ciena, right? CIEN. All of these seem to be moving together. CIEN also looks like this is going to try and go higher.
I'm curious as to who this hyperscaler is for AAOI. Let me see if I can find something.
Okay.
Keyboard clicks.
Keyboard clicks. Yeah, sorry, that came at the wrong time there. We were both trying to enter something there.
Okay, it's Microsoft. That's who I think they're referring to, is Microsoft, because Microsoft identified as a leading long-time hyperscaler customer working with the company to ramp up 800G optical modules. Wouldn't you know it, that's what this news is on today. 53 million volume order from a major hyperscaler customer for its 800G single mode data center transceivers. That's what they're referring to. So more than likely, it's Microsoft that they're talking about.
Good detective work, as always, from 13 here. Smash up the like for our guy 13. Joe here saying, Ryan, can you compare Ondas to Arcat? Arcat has been moving much better lately. Different drones that are presently more attractive to buyers. So, okay, so there's a number of differences with kind of the share structure that I'm sure is playing into this. But as far as the drones go, remember, Arcat is more of like a focus on like tactical drones that soldiers carry, as well as like, low cost strike drones and ISR. Whereas Ondas is more of like they call it, what's the term that they drone in a box, right? They call basically the entire autonomous system within a box that they're able to use. So that's mostly used for like industrial, smart city, and defense in that regard. Now, can I tell you why they're moving differently? Not exactly. Here's what Arcat looks like. Jay had mentioned here, drones as a whole kind of looking pretty good here today. Arcat having another good move here. Ondas's chart actually looks pretty similar, doesn't it? This is still a pretty good move. Impulse, we haven't actually retaken the high.
Yeah, I'm watching Anna Big Hurt. We got support from the VWAP. It looks like it's trying to push back up. I'm just concerned that it's not going to be enough volume. We're not looking at the same amount of volume we had, like 20 minutes ago, 30 minutes ago. We'll see if we end up getting that push beyond 820. That looks like 820, 825 might be the resistance, but volume's going to tell us a story here with this next move, I think.
And then here's Microsoft. So we were just talking about that with Pavs. I see here Comp saying Microsoft long on. I'm assuming you are long on Microsoft. If I'm getting that wrong, please correct me. So here's the chart for Microsoft. Sure looks like this is trying to hunt another support level. I guess I would ask the group, where is that support level? Are we thinking 360? Are we thinking maybe more towards the Liberation Day bottom down here at 344-ish? What are our thoughts on Microsoft for another trade? Where's the tradable bottom here on Microsoft? I guess the way I would ask that. 360, 345. What does the group think? You too, 13. Anybody?
Yeah, my expectation is that we should have already started to see some of this bottoming here. The fact we're making new lows isn't great, but I don't think that we're going to see a massive breakdown. If we're going to lose some, we're coming into some support areas here. So I would think that maybe if we start going under 370, that your 365 area is going to be another support level. And you can take that all the way back to the highs from July in 2023. Right after that happened, we came back in, found support, and then we consolidated in November of that same year for almost 3 months, 2 or 3 months. So I would think that area is going to be the next support, and we're at the very top of it right now.
Okay. And actually, that's a really good mention there. You can see that very clearly here on the daily. So Comp just added, okay, so I'm going to assume, and again, please correct me if I'm wrong. I'm doing the best I can with the information that I have. I'm going to assume that you have a long-term time horizon on this, and adding at some of these other support levels are part of the long-term trade plan. So I guess I would turn that around and say, what do you think of some of the levels that we just gave here, namely 360, 345, and then the consolidation area? 13, is it okay if I abbreviate that as 330? Sure. Okay, so 360 which is 15 points away, 345, which is another 15 points away, and then 330. I guess that's another 15 points away. So the next 45 points have several support areas in them. It looks like you said, So there's a long-term plan here, and it looks like you're trying to add for the long term at some of those levels. So I think all of those levels make a lot of sense to me, and I don't think this company is really in any trouble.
No, this is a long-term hold for me, and this weakness that we're getting is just, I don't want to back the truck up, but I'm just, adding where I think it's appropriate, because I think over the long run, this is going to be, much better. We're going to see 500 again in probably no time. But what we were getting earlier this year, I thought we were starting to see evidence of a bottom, and that hasn't happened yet. So just got to be patient. But I agree. I don't think this is going to go out of business trading like that. This is a great company.
Okay, and I know we got some of this data here earlier. I just want to go over it again. The global services PMI for March was 51.1. That was versus the 52 estimate. Remember, this was going to be the first print that was going to include anything from the Middle Eastern conflict there. Looks like it's fairly in line, but again, fairly early number there. Trump and Modi discussed the Strait of Hormuz as India faces a gas shortage. That's a Bloomberg article here. The reason I'm looking at the news feed here is because SPY did bounce. We're above the VWAP. Looks like we kind of got stopped there at the 65 EMA. 13, I'm sorry. What did you have?
Xena and also RBNE. These are ripping right now.
Oops, I clicked the wrong thing. Let me go to Xena. We talked about that one earlier. Go back to the chart. Sorry for misclicking here. Nice to see it move on that. Here's Xena. Right up to the highs and above those I like that we got a little bit of a delayed move there and a move away from the VWAP. Pretty palatable, pretty decent volume.
Yeah, we're getting some good movement here with Robin Energy as well.
That's RBNE, like you mentioned. Yep.
185, the current high. Coming up to some areas of resistance here. I see sellers starting at 185 all the way up to 2. That might provide some upside pressure. I'm sorry, some resistance to the upside. So that's
I see a seller kind of walking the current price down, but I also see that guy at 185, and I think I see some scattered folks on the offer there up to 192. Big Hurt, same deal, 185 to 190. I see the same thing that you do.
Just waiting to see if PAVs is going to do another move up, but it seems like it's struggling with the 75 cent area.
Okay, so we're still in penny territory. Okay.
Yeah, just waiting to see what this does. Looks like it wants to test some of the pre-market highs.
Okay. Jay here saying software very weak. That's one of the reasons why we're seeing the Microsoft move down here. But again, if you've got a long-term outlook like some of the chat here does, adding on days where it's down seems to be the smart move. Optical and GLW had. What was interesting is that I saw GLW put sweeps out of the open on this impulse move higher. That's not working yet. Let me see if that has flipped to calls. Give me a sec here. Indeed. So early on, we saw put sweeps right out of the gate. I wonder if some of that is changing here. These were all fairly short term. Yeah, it looks like this is the April expiry. And I don't know. Maybe some of these, there's a little bit of call interest for that April expiry, but definitely puts outweighing the calls for April. Did have this, that is a closing trade. That 115, that's a closing trade there. 1.44 million on 500 contracts. Giddy up. That's their biggest trade of the day, was gains being taken.
Anna still getting support from VWAP, but volume has really gone away. So I'm a little bit concerned that this is not going to hold up the VWAP. But if we get that, sudden spike of volume, that'd be great. You grow. Got support from the 200 EMA, but hasn't recaptured any of the other EMAs. Envia
saying crypto is about to tank briefly. I take one look at the Bitcoin chart, and I'll tell you what, we broke 70K. It actually looks like it does want to roll lower. That's the Bitcoin futures chart, by the way.
Got hey Jay, how do you like Velo? It's been doing pretty good this morning. It got it up to 1463. After a low out of the gate of 1290. Looks like Anna's still trying. This needs more volume, but it's getting that support from VWAP for the moment. Looks like we're starting to get a little bit of weakness here in the market. VG, this looks like it's trying to test the session high again. 1758, we got just to about 10 minutes out of the open. We're almost back up to that level again. Yeah, Velo has earnings, I think, tonight. Let me see.
Ooh.
Yeah, after market close. Be interested to see what they've got to say.
So Jay, with your thoughts here of buying in the 12s, trimming in the 14s, what are you doing for earnings on that play? Is this a hold through earnings? Are you looking for maybe another move here? Any thoughts on CCL as earnings are Friday? My own bias gets in the way of that trade, Retro. I don't care for the boats as far as investment goes. So holding them through earnings, I would be more on the bearish side of that. But that's I'm letting you know that's my own personal bias on those.
Fine
I
job,
haven't
Jay.
been interested in trading the boat since COVID. Sorry, 13.
I was just telling Jay, fine job. He's still got his plan. Buying the 12s, trimming the 14s.
Yep, that's what I was saying. So that's why I'm wondering, how does the earnings print? Are you holding a little bit because you've been trimming, so you have a gain there? So how are you looking to trade? So you're holding it through the earnings too. Okay, great.
A little bit, yep.
I posted earlier, I'm sorry for missing it. I'll be light into earnings, maybe I some calls or spreads. So you're going to have exposure for the earnings print then. Good.
Okay. Let's see what else we got going on here.
Looks like Anna's still making the rounds. Jacob's all over it. See if this gets back up to the highs, set some new ones here.
Just waiting to see if you presses higher.
That was such a good one. I feel like, you know what, 13, in fact, I feel like we have not talked about how good of a live call this was. This was something that you discussed both on the morning show and on the happy hour show, and this thing has worked.
It's in the right theme at the right time. And I like what the company is doing too. And I think they also they pay a dividend too. So this and the company's profitable. So I really do like what they're doing. It's funny because I don't think this is getting looked at enough. But you know, because of all the backups with TSA, and now they have this whole health care angle for verification on the Medicare.gov site, and for securing your accounts online. I think that's one of the most recent pieces of news they had. But anyway, I'm looking forward to what this the company is going to end up doing over the next several years, because you might ending up seeing these all over the place, like in major venues. You're going to see them in airports, of course. You're going to see them in stadiums.
I'll tell you what, that to me is the critical mass inflection point, right? Like the use case at airports makes a lot of sense. The whole theme with the TSA not getting paid, all of that is surface level stuff that makes sense. But I really think that a critical inflection point, if this becomes like a go-to security for sports venues and you're able to maybe get in a little bit easier or avoid crowds a little bit easier, I think there is a massive potential ramp. Concerts as well. You're talking about events and venues. You could pretty much apply that to anything. To me, that really seems like the next step here where these guys could really kind of lock in.
Mm-hmm. I like what the company's doing now. That all being said, I did trim a little bit of this already at 53. I still have some, and if we get into the 60s, I'm going to be taking even more, because I think we get a little extended at that point. But it's kind of extended right now, so it wouldn't surprise me if we started to get the price to come back in towards $50. But I still think the company is great, and it's likely going to maybe print some higher levels. But just make sure you're trading this appropriately. It's looking extended right now, and I have taken a little bit off the table.
Yeah, not one to chase, right? This move is for selling into rather than buying into. Real quick, let me make sure I get your name right here. Kenjalia, what time does happy hour start? Another reminder here, happy hour starts as soon as the market closes and it runs for an hour. Happy hour, however, is a Zoom-based call that is only available to paying Benzinga Pro customers. Now, what I try, I know I talk about it a lot here, but I do try and bring some of the insights derived on happy hour, or some of the discussions that we have to this morning show, that we can kind of get a bigger audience for that. But if you want to join the actual show and participate in the actual show, you also need to sign up for Benzinga Pro.
Yeah, Jay, Iridium. This is what an established bottom looks like. When it's down in September and then sideways for like what 3-4 months before we finally recaptured that breakdown level, and now we've got a golden cross. I mean, Iridium is one of the only, I think, out of all the space names that we've looked at, one of only two that actually pays a dividend, and I like the way that the companies run. It looks like we're coming into some consolidation back from 2024 into 2025. So from basically about 27 to 30, I would say 34 to 35. That's a whole consolidation area that the price is going to have to move through, and we could see some back and forth as it gets to there. But yeah, Jay, I love this company. I think it's one of the better space names.
Cool. All right.
Anna,
I'll tell you,
new highs.
Anna, you know what? I should just default to this. This is where most of the moves are coming from. And you're absolutely right. New highs set there. RBNE pulled back to the VWAP and is trying to bounce, but no new highs yet. RBNE. 187 is big resistance here being mentioned by Mo. 185 was the actual high print that stopped us. Is there a bottom on Rocket? I'm sure there is, but where is it? Didn't we get news that mortgage rates are back in the 7s? I would imagine that that's just going to be a complete negative here for Rocket.
I not to toot my own horn here, but there might be some support around 13 in Rocket. Now, I've got a trend line here on my daily chart that I've drawn through the two lows from October of 2023 and January of 2025. And that's a trend line we're about to hit.
All right, so I don't have the October data, but here's the January one. As I said before, when it comes to Rocket, I like this in the 12s. But full disclosure, last time this was in the 12s, we had a banger trade that we put on this that worked for 6-7 months. So we'll see if we get back down there and give us some entry. I think pretty much anywhere in here. Again, this is the 12, so I would say 12. I'm showing here about 11 and a half, but I would say maybe 12 to 13. Anywhere in this area might make a decent entry. That might also be where it bottoms.
Maybe.
Feed is trying to come back.
Oh, yes, it is. Trying to get back up to that VWAP.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to be curious to see if this thing does, in fact, hit the fair value gap area that we outlined earlier. I would be curious to see if that is finally going to be strength for a bounce. I know we touched it briefly in the pre-market. I kind of want to throw that out. Maybe those are going to be famous last words. See if we actually get a VWAP recapture prior to that.
This is kind of interesting. I don't think we really talked about AIRS, AIRS. And it's not up a whole lot, but it's just got some real interesting price action. Like it seems it goes green, red, green, red, green, red on its way up. And it's been slowly moving up from the 260s up to almost 3. I don't know if there's even a trade here, but I just was, cycling through some of the movers, and this looked interesting. I don't know if there's a trade there or not. Okay, well, here goes you. Coming up to some of the pre-market highs. It's like you grow also trying to get back up towards the VWAP as well.
Eric asking here about V-Wave thoughts. I don't have any off the top of my head here. $1 billion opportunity emerges as RF sensing technologies in offshore oil exploration.
Oh, that's not a great looking chart. But it really does make $8 stand out as a resistance level. This thing's writing down the 20-day SMA. I guess that would be the thing I'd be watching for is, can we get back above the 20-day SMA? If we do start to show that we're closing above it on a daily chart, because we haven't done that, we haven't had a close above this since late January. But once we start doing that again, then I'd watch for a recapture of 8. I think those are going to be the two signals we need to see for for this to come climbing back up here. Recapture the 20-day SMA, start closing over 8. That might give you a solid bottom for this to move up from. That's just what I'm seeing here on the daily.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, Eric. I don't see a whole lot here. Not terribly intrigued with the SPY performance either. Don't know that I feel like I have an edge there for a potential trade.
I like what he's saying there. Maybe just set it out. Don't force anything. That's perfect. Don't force anything, especially if nothing's looking good.
Yeah.
Just sit on your hands. Maybe take some notes about what you're seeing here. There's still a lot we can do today, even if it isn't printing dollars. And when it days like this, I like to do some research about the next thing that might run.
Gold is actually doing a pretty decent job holding in here. Take a look at silver as well.
CVV, we'll look at that one, and then replay is also mentioning lunar. I'm gonna look at CVV and then lunar.
CVV looking like it's trying to pop off its impulse move. Let me see if there was news here today, 13.
Okay.
Indeed, Corp announces a definitive agreement for the sale of its SDC division. They're going to sell that stainless design concepts division to Atlas Copco for $16.9 million in cash. So the company's got a market cap of $25.8 million. They're selling one of their divisions for $16.7 million. That's your news there. CVV, that's what's driving it higher by 30%.
Gosh, that's quite a bit. That's more than the valuation of their plant and property and equipment. And then we were looking at the other, let's see, the other thing I was going to look at was lunar. This thing is having a not so great day. Did their lander tip over or something?
This thing's down 7% here. Fairchild, good to see you this morning. Totally agree. I'm green on the morning. All I can do now is F it up. I don't think so. I like the discipline not to make a joke there, but you're a sharp guy. I don't think you're going to F it up.
Yeah, I don't.
I'll tell you what. Sorry, really quickly here. Wiss had said earlier, I'm selling all the pops here. So far, at least on the broader market, that looks to be the right move.
So
same with some of these movers. Go ahead.
Lunar just had their earnings. It was mixed, I think. They missed on sales. I don't know what the EPS was. They guided higher, but we're still trading down. And this is after we got price targets that generally looks like it's in the mid to low 20s. I don't know exactly what's driving this down, but we're coming to the into the 50-day SMA as support. I don't know what to make of this, unfortunately. Might just need to be cool off. I don't know. I really don't know where this is going right now. It just seems like it's still in consolidation. $20 is clearly a tough spot for it to stay above. But let's see what we get with these with the support from the moving averages, the 20 and the 50. They're both right in the same area in the 18 handle.
Netgear here. This is moving higher if the FCC added internet routers made in foreign countries to its covered list of prohibited products. Netgear here trying to move above the VWAP intraday. Wiss, take care of yourself. Really good stuff here today.
Take care, Wiss. It's a bit mixed for space today. You do have some that are up, some are down. Velo's having a decent day. So is Spire and Satellogic and AAOI. But yeah, a lot of these other names are also down 5%, 4%, 6%. Voyager is down 6%. So yeah, it's a bit of a mixed day, but I still think that we're going to get a good lift in space not too far from now. We just need that Starship launch to happen. I think that's going to give us a little bit of fuel for the space thing to go.
Netgear 25 tests. So this actually moved through its VWAP, found some resistance there at 25. I don't see a huge seller here, but clearly there's something stopping it.
Jay, this is something we've been talking about. You, me, Ryan, a lot of folks are talking about the grid and needing to upgrade that. And I think one of the ones we've been kind of trading, AMSC, is going to be one of the ones that benefit from that. But yeah, so were the other ones that we've got on our watch list. Like here, I'll just pull this up for y'all. Because there was a whole list that we put together. Oh gosh, I forgot how big this list was. Do I post this? Do I post this whole list here? Because it's a lot. There's a lot of names. But yeah, I think
if it separates them by a space and puts them all on the same line, probably not going to be a huge problem. And the users can probably copy it. Just throw it in there, see what it looks like. Worst case scenario.
Okay.
Anne-Marie and I will pick up the pieces.
Yeah, it might work. There you go.
Those are all. That's not bad.
Yeah, those are all my. That's on my my electrical grade watch list. So and I only see one that's red today. So that post by JPM must have had an effect. Real quick, I was asked before I jump off here, what's my take on the market? I mean, I still think that ultimately, we've talked about the SPY before, I think that we're still going to see some lower prints. My expectation is that we see somewhere between 605 to 620 in the SPY before we find a bottom. That would amount to about a 10 to 14% correction. I think it's what the market needs. And that area down there around 605 to 620 looks like it has some good support, some consolidation areas, some previous highs. So that's my expectation right now, is that we still continue lower, but we do need this correction to maintain the health of the market.
Yeah, we've needed it for a long time. I'm with you on that. My thought is, as long as we don't have the strength to recapture in a meaningful way that 200-day moving average, my target, very similar to 13's, I put it right around 628. Okay, 13's closing words.
Hey, folks, another fun day here. We didn't get all the volume that we wanted, but we still had some pretty awesome trades. Hey, shout out to Anna. And folks, have a wonderful time with Anne-Marie, and she's going to bring it to you. Until then, I'll see you tomorrow, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care, everybody.
All right, 13, take care. Have a great Tuesday. We'll see you tomorrow. 13's departure leaves room for the one and only Anne-Marie Baiynd. Let's bring her on. Anne-Marie, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. I was laughing because I was listening to the show on the quiet, and I heard 13 go, well, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I do see, 13 as a number. And nobody said anything. It was just like, did you see what he did there? So I laughed. I thought it was very fun.
At least we made somebody laugh.
Yes.
13 does a really good job at that. We try. Sometimes we end up pissing people off, though. So
hey, it happens.
After was the word here today.
So let me show you my charts. We can talk about a couple of different things.
Sweet.
I always love sharing these interesting things that come across. You can see my screen now, correct?
Oh yeah, I got you.
Great. Okay,
I'm just a little slow here getting it shared.
Yeah, no worries. So I'm going to give you guys a little secret. There's a scan inside of Thinkorswim. It's called a doji scan, and it tells you if the prior day has been a doji, and you can go to that edge and go, I wonder if it's a doji in a trend, or if it's a doji starting a trend. But the doji event, especially after heavy compression, gives us a few names. So I'm actually going to just take a snapshot of this for us so we can see this, but then I want to tell you what's actually driving the market. I have a little secret to share. If you've been watching my morning videos, you know the answer already, but here it is. Folks, we are being run by the dollar right now. So let me share the whys, okay? First of all, huge disruption. We've got ourselves just a gigantic global disruption in energy. It takes, 16 days for a tanker to get to the South Seas. Everything's been jammed up. So we're going to see some ripple effects and some unintended consequences going through the space. That's number one. Okay. So some of the things that we're seeing across the way are, hey, we're putting restraints, we're sort of rationing fuel, we're doing X, Y, or Z. We want some plants to close early. We're asking you to not use your power during certain times. This is all happening in the Far East and the Southeast Asia. Okay. On top of this disruption, the dollar has exploded upward over the last several weeks, maybe 10, 15 days, right? So we're seeing it right here since the end of January. It started this gigantic run. So here's the thing. A lot of debt is in US dollars. And so if I borrowed in US dollars, but I'm in the Thai baht and emerging markets are falling through the floorboards because we've got problems, my debt's going to become more expensive. So there's a global push to force the dollar down as much as they can right now. And so what you're seeing is a 1-to-1 correlation between gold, the ES, and the dollar being inverse, right? The dollar moves down, gold and ES move straight up. The dollar moves up, gold and ES move straight down. Now, let's go to a 30-minute chart. I'll confirm it for you. Take a look at it. We'll go side by side. Put the ES up here. Waiting. And we'll see if we're both looking at 30-minute charts, we'll see that price action moving up, dollar moving down. Dollar starts to bounce, price action is going to give up at the resistance zone. This is almost 1-to-1 right now. It's pretty incredible. Something else that's happening is that as oil comes down, copper is going to move up. So take a look at your copper and see what's good to buy. I'm thinking of FCX. I'm thinking of Rio Tinto. I'm thinking of some of those. So watch oil and copper, inverse relationship right now. I don't know when that's going to break, but that's what we're staring down. Okay, enough school. Let's get to work. All right, we had our scan.
I love it.
we had our scan and it was saying, hey, listen, here's some doji action. Let's see what we can work on for the close of the prior day. So let's take a look, AMD. And I want to, let's look here, earnings, and let's go to AMD. And so yesterday doesn't look like a doji to me. I wonder what it's telling us. That's kind of strange, isn't it?
Actually, it looked like that candle today.
Yeah. But it's not supposed to be giving me today. It's supposed to be giving me yesterday. So that's super weird. All right. That being said, let's move along. I have a list that we had the dojis from yesterday. I'll pull that list out and we can see what's going on. See if we've got some trending / counter trending events that we can stare down. All right. Here they are. First one was VST. Okay, Fred, you got enough lines there. How about we hang that up? Okay, so this is energy. I like energy a lot. And
a great 2026 theme for us, which we've called from
day one.
Late 2025.
Yeah, absolutely. So we did have a doji here in the space. So what we are looking for is continuation of relative trend. So what is that relative trend? It looks sideways. It does. It looks pretty sideways. So we just had a dividend. And vol is cheap in general. So what do we want to do here? Anything screaming at us? No. And here's why. Let's take a look. We're right at the top of this earnings candle. Oh, I don't know. 200 on the weekly. Let's see. I think we got ourselves a bullish pattern.
Okay.
So let's go to May. Let's see where the traders are sitting. Ooh, look at this. 5,000, 6,000, 6,500. A little bit overpriced, but not too bad. So what if we give it to May and we go, let's make sure I've got the right trigger. 56, 70 is the resistance zone. So let's try 60, 70, 80. So we've got 60, 70, 80. $1.03. Can you see that all right? Or do I need to make it bigger?
Yeah. I mean, I can. I got pretty good eyes, though.
Yeah,
right. It looks big enough for me to make it out.
Young eyes. Sorry.
They're less young every day, it turns out.
There you go. There you go. All right. So if you're staring that down, that's what it's looking at. If you're thinking to yourself, well, energy, I can take a look at that. You might say, why don't I just sell a spread down here? In case it fades, I might pick it up on the cheap. It might give me a little room. So there's also the option of saying, let's go that doesn't give us very much premium at all. We can go 130, 125, and then we could choose something outlandish, 190, 195. And it gives us $1.81. Now, for a $5 spread, I like to get at least $1. And for a $10 spread, I like to get at least $2. This one is pretty nice. One of them pays for the other. And so I like it. I do. I like it a lot. Plus, it's got that doji that tells us, listen, we're going to hold relative to trend. We're sitting at the 200. I think we've got ourselves some price action that's fairly attractive in my mind. Anyway, all right, let's take a look
at this was VRT or VST.
VST.
Okay, so the reason that this, sorry about that. The reason that this is interesting is before you got on here today, we had Scott Bauer from T3 on.
Okay.
And Scott Bauer was telling us that he has done more iron condors in the last 6 weeks than he has in the last 6 months. And he gave us a trade on VRT in which he got 60% of the spread.
Nice.
And I was like, I wish Anne-Marie were here because this is exactly the type of stuff that she talks about on a regular basis. And Scott was in one here that he covered this morning. So
love that. Love that. Iron condors are going to be some of the best trades that we make here because we are looking at flux and increased volatility. Here's the next one. Super interesting. Google.
And this is GOOGL, right?
Yeah. So Google had this doji, my brain. It had this doji right here, and it broke the low of the doji today. It's coming into a baseline support, but looks a little bit rough, right? It's got these lows. You can see a ton of sellers up here. What do I think of this? I don't like a directional move here. I think it's got to get out of this box first. So it's either got to break under 293 or break above 306. Or it's sitting inside of this zone. And if it's sitting inside the zone, we've got ourselves an iron condor. And so that's 295, which easily could give us a ton of premium because we're right on the edge. And it's likely to give us some noise all the way around, to be honest. So if we're looking at 295 to 290 and then 305 to 310, 10,000 of them right there. That gives us almost half. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that spread. These are the things that are dangerously scary. You might look at this and go, oh, wait, my delta is 0.05 and it's only $5 spread. I'm getting $4.25. You're thinking to yourself, could things look any better? They could look a lot worse. And here's why.
They can always look worse.
Yeah. And here's why. You're getting so much of a credit that it's a danger zone. So you got to back down. When things look too good to be true, they probably are. So we wind it down a little bit. This looks like a good iron condor. I think we're going to be so sideways, folks. This thing is going to leak and move up and down all over the place. But if you have a little bit of patience, because we're seeing so many dojis, look at this, doji, doji, doji. We've got all kinds of doji sitting in here. So we know price action is uncertain. It's going to sit inside of the boxes. We move it up to the 310. I'll move it up there. So we get out of danger zone and we'll be in good shape that way. All right. Next one that was on the list. Workday. WD. Ooh, you hear that clicking sound? That's very bad. Workday. That looks like a trend continuation. Top of the box. And so we are underneath this area. The flow, again, a little bit sideways. What do we have here? We have a doji at the day after earnings. The week of earnings, we get a doji. How interesting is that? That's very unique. Okay, momentum is pressing upward, but still zero. Crud. I don't like this one. I don't like Workday.
Okay.
Let's look at C. I think this is C containers. Yeah.
That's SE, right?
Yeah, SE. Okay. This is a trend break. Yeah. So the bounces are going to be sell zones here. We're coming to the bottom of the earnings candle on this range. It's never been able to get up over that earnings event. So chances are it's headed down into 63. It's bizarre that C container is here and fading so sharply because of disruption flows. I would guess that that's the reason. But, you know, my gut is telling me we're near a floor. But I'm not going to trade my gut. I'm going to trade what I think I'm seeing here. And that is 72.50 to maybe 65 in a short spread. I don't know. I think we're going to see a little bit of a bounce here in April, and then things are going to sort of catapult. So 72.50's got nothing. 75, 70 is horrifically expensive. These options are not well priced.
Okay.
However,
yeah, I was going to say, it is worth noting that we've seen a bounce every month this year so far, despite that downtrend. So maybe we do see one in April.
Yeah, I do. I think we have a bounce, and then we have some trouble in May and June. So if we're holding this edge, it's $72, but you're probably going to have to leave that in GTC and see if, the market maker gods let us fade. That's just not clean. And, I looked for ones with penny increment spreads, but obviously they're being awful. So Moderna, mRNA. Apparently these guys have never made any money. Is this the storyboard?
Let me see here real quick. Let me pull that up.
Wow. We've had 3 weeks of dojis here. Well,
yeah. You know what? At Q3 of 2024, they posted a 3-cent EPS beat.
okay.
And then Q4 of 2024. Well, so this was the report February of 2024. So this would have been Q4 for 2023. They posted a 55-cent. But recently, like literally the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the last 5 quarters, they have not made money.
Okay. So interestingly, even though they don't make money, they're still getting bought. So this, however, is a very big topping formation. I believe this is a short.
And so I'm with you on that. Just kind of looking at this a little bit more. They lost money until COVID happened.
Exactly.
And then they started to post high earnings per share for what looks like 6 or 7 quarters.
Uh-huh.
And then they started to they posted 2 really nasty losses. Then they kind of jostled around a little bit, but no, for the most part, unless it's COVID, this company doesn't make much money.
Okay. So let's give it until May and let's do the 45-40 spread. Let's see how expensive that is. Ooh, some action down there at 30. 45, not a bad price. 45-40. We could turn this into a butterfly. 35, 70 cents. Could see if that one works. I think that's it. If for happenstance you say, hey, I don't want to do that, you could sell the 60-65 spread and the 40-35 spread. It gives you $1.50, which I'm not mad at that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm definitely not mad at that iron condor for sure. Okay. Next on the list. All right. Starbucks.
Oh, wow. This is not one that we have looked at in a long, long time.
Yeah. And no wonder why. Look at that. Nowhere land. Wasn't that was that a Beatles tune?
Nowhere
Man. Nowhere Man is the name of it, right? Was it Nowhere Man?
I mean,
Nowhere Land.
Forever Man, which was an Eric Clapton song, but I don't think that's what. No, Nowhere Man was in fact a Beatles song. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good on you. I'm actually a little bit embarrassed it took me that long to get that. I love the Beatles.
Did you see Yesterday? Did you see that movie Yesterday?
No.
A lot of people hated it, but it was about this guy that went back in time and nobody'd ever heard of the Beatles. And so he started writing all the tunes. He started just doing all the tunes and he became famous.
Yeah, that's what I would have done too.
Yeah.
It's like look, I've seen Back to the Future.
It was clever.
I've seen Back to the Future. If I ever go back in time, you can bet your ass I'm grabbing a sports almanac. I'm just going to throw that out there right now. So just saying.
Oh, Oh my goodness. All right. So this one also looks like a continuation. Yes, sirree. Where are we headed? Top of this earnings box to the bottom of the earnings box. So the 80-85 put spread. Let's give it till May. Look at the bouncy bouncies. Yeah, they are really trying to force price action. This is really a debt issue that is going on. We cannot let contagion in all of the places that are struggling under this global event. We cannot let them get behind on their debt, or it's going to be contagion. So 85.80.
And I'm sorry, real quick here, not to distract you. We just saw a huge pop in the market. Jay here saying news oil. I don't see it out there. Maybe I just missed it because I was paying attention to Anne Marie. But in any case, Anne Marie, I'm sorry for distracting you. I just wanted to figure out why
it did pop. It did pop, and so did gold. I mean, gold's doing a pretty good thing. Remember, I think the day is going to be fairly sideways. We're sitting inside of a candlestick that's going to take a very long time to resolve. That great big one from yesterday at 7 o'clock is going to take forever to resolve. Okay, so could we do a combo trade where we sell the 105s and we we sell the 100s, we buy the 105s, we get ourselves a credit. That's as big a credit as you would get on a regular iron condor. So that really doesn't look bad. And you could also turn it into an iron condor doing the 80.75 and get yourself almost $2. So one pays for the other. Also, I think pretty solid in general. I think Starbucks is having itself, it's time for it to come back down into the box that it's been in for 3 years. And that doji is giving us that space, and it's underneath my adaptive line. So all of that looks like any bounces are going to sell. All right. Man, zooming through them. Zoom. Okay. Next one. Tech. No, I didn't like tech. BBY. So I have a warranty on my appliances in my kitchen with Best Buy. And I'm sighing because Best Buy annoys me. So here we are.
I used to work for Best Buy, by the way.
Did you?
In another life, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I have always loved them. Of late, I'm not so happy. So here's what we've got going on. This one looks pretty rough. It's under the 50, under the 200, trending down, going to the bottom of its earnings box. It has not lost the earnings box yet. And so there is some room for it to jockey around. So I'd rather put a short spread on here via short call spreads versus a long bull put spread, a long bear put spread, because I think it's going to chop around. So it's better to have theta erode and pay us, but it is definitely below the line, that doji event right there, and that gives us our breakdown for further downside in general. So that being said, I think it's fairly sideways. Let's do that April one. Ooh, look at how many folks are right there. Yeah, not a lot of premium here. Excuse me, wrong side.
Really quick, Anne-Marie,
yes.
I just want to give you an update to the spike that we saw in the SPY. I think I've tracked down what this is for.
Oh, yeah.
Iran says that it is open to U.S. outreach and is ready to listen. An Iranian source says Washington has initiated outreach and Tehran is willing to consider sustainable proposals to end the conflict. While no formal negotiations have occurred, Iran is open to plans that safeguard its national interest. It is willing to guarantee it will not pursue nuclear weapons and allow peaceful nuclear use and lift the sanctions. That is the piece of news responsible for the market pop. I don't know if that's going to affect any of these trades that you have set up, but that's what's going on.
Okay, so let's say we do resolve. Let's say we do resolve. What is the bottom line for what's happened in the flows over the last 3 weeks? So I think the war machine really still cranks up because now everybody's depleted their weapons. They got to build some more. So they're going to sign some contracts with Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, the whole thing. Watch the war complex that still say green. We still have AI disruption. We still have terrorist disruption. We still have stagflation. We still have, I don't think anything here allows us to turn around and go full board to the upside again. I really don't.
Okay.
Every single bounce, I think, is going to get sold.
Now, do you think that's because a lot of us are kind of waiting for this market to maybe move down before we buy the dip?
I think the majority of traders agree that nobody knows what's going on and that we can't believe anything that we read and we can't believe anything that we hear, and we are being set a whim. Take a look at what's going on with the chart right now. Zoomed up to 66.31.50, which is a pivot line, super important line in the ES. It zoomed right up to 66.31, 66.34, and then, here we are back down. This is algorithmic flow.
Okay.
Algorithmic flow. Just prepare for volatility. Great trades going to be floating around, but the market continues to have relative erosion. And so we want to be careful. Bright spots out there all over the place, but volatile.
Yeah,
so,
no question. And this is literally being illustrated while you're talking, Anne-Marie.
Exactly.
SPY pulled back, looks like all the way to 652. I don't know if that's
and
a ghost candle
again.
or not.
No,
and
it's
bounced
real
again, and now it's right back up there. So, okay, Anne-Marie, it's 11. We're out of time here for today. Really good job getting through a lot of content here. We even had some news break while you and I were on here together. Really good stuff. We're going to see you on Friday to follow up with you for some more.
Sir. Yes.
Okay. Sir. Beautiful. Anne-Marie, thanks for everything. We really appreciate your expertise and your analysis. Have a great rest of your Tuesday.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
All right, folks, that is Anne-Marie Baiynd. More good stuff here today from her. You can always catch her on Tuesdays and Fridays. Sometimes we have breaking news. Other times she just gives out banger trades pretty regularly. So, folks, really good stuff here this week. We are done for the day here on Tuesday, but we're going to be back at this again tomorrow. Stay green, stay safe, stay focused. Have a great rest of your Tuesday. Check out Benzinga products if you haven't yet. We'll catch you.